It's Thursday night. That's true. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. That's also true. It's another Gavin Doodle. Guess what? It's also true. It's also true. All of it's true. It is all true. It's a Thursday night. We have a wonderful guest joining us who was supposed to be on, I don't know, a while ago. And there was a conflict. And so we were finally able to get them on tonight. And that special guest is a person named Kaly Quarles. And Kaly Quarles, I know from hearsay, from rumors, from the old grapevine, is a bit of a quirky one. I think we'll find out. Kaly Quarles. I tried. It wasn't very good. I'm going to put our standard Ask Us Anything in here, and which means if you want to ask us stuff, that's great. But I think tonight what I want to be a goofball. And I also, my voice just went, goofball. I finally turned into a man. And it means I want you to write in weird questions and things of the sort, and I'm happy to entertain and get into all that fun stuff, but we're going to see how it goes. So let me let in our special guest. I don't know why special guest. Let me let in our special guest here, and we'll get going for the night. There it is. Invite us away.
Hello.
Are you underwater?
Oh God, I hope that's not going to be an issue.
What is the blue?
Well, that's me. Oh no, what is going on?
Are you Violet Beauregard and you had too many blueberries before tonight?
Oh, there we go.
What was that?
I had a little thing covering it.
Oh,
I did not.
Something?
Okay, I did not curse, so this is a win for me because I was ready to let some bombs fly.
I thought you were coming in hot. And you had, because the first noise sounded a little bit like it was underwater, and I was thinking like, is this some special effect that you have that you're gonna be like in a submarine for a majority of the night, and we're gonna get little blips and bleeps.
Well, no, I got really worried because I was on a phone call earlier today from here in my studio, and the lady was like, "You're breaking out like every other word. Can you go somewhere else?" And so when I just hopped on and you were like, "Are you underwater?" I was in my head thinking, "Oh,
yeah, downhill from here." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it can only go uphill from there. So thank you for joining me tonight. I already got paint on my hands. I know that we meant to do this a while back, and we had a conflict, and I'm glad that we were able to reschedule and have you on. Yeah, we've been fans of yours for some time, and it's been sort of on the books of trying to figure out, okay, when can we do this? And we're happy that we have you tonight. I always say we, and I don't know if everybody knows we means my wife and me, but she doesn't deserve any of the credit. I deserve it all. And so I am happy to have you on. She was totally against it for days and days, and I had to wrestle her to the ground and say, we have to do this. So thank you for joining. Can you give folks a little background info on you?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I am a lifelong creative. I was working in tech a few years ago, and I really disliked my job, and somebody that I worked with had an iPad and let me play around with Procreate, and I was like hooked. But that's what got me into digital illustration, and I've been doing this for about 3.5, it'll be 4 years this summer.
Wait, 3.5, 4 years. So you started like right at the beginning of the pandemic.
I
then.
did.
Smart
Yes,
choice.
and it was great because I had kind of reached a point where there was enough interest in my work where I was, I thought that I was actually going to start, I thought I was going to do like wedding invitations and that sort of stuff with like some of my hand lettering.
Yeah.
Quickly decided I did not want to do that. Working with ending brides was not
Bridezilla?
Yeah.
In terms of Bridezilla? Yes.
Priorities. But yeah, it was like right at the start of the pandemic. I had left my job in tech, and I was living in Austin at the time. I live in Salt Lake now, and I was like, I'm gonna get a mentor and network and like meet all these people, and like that's how it's gonna happen. And yeah, we know the rest.
What with out of curiosity, and this is I don't know. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and my wife, I think just the other day was our like 2-year anniversary of doing this, and we've been doing it pretty much every week, minus like a couple, and so we're up in the hundreds, like up in the 100 range, I think, of doing this. But I feel like I'm gonna guess like 20% of the people I feel like are from Utah that come on here, and I don't know what, like, I don't know if that's another hub of Kidlit, like. I know Massachusetts has a big hub because of a lot of the folks out of New York moved up to Mass at a certain point, and so you had like Kaly Quarles and all these and whatnot sort of populated this small section of Massachusetts. But there's just a ton of people out in Salt Lake City or in Utah in general, and I just don't fathom, like, because most of them I would figure like came from like Brigham Young because they have a good illustration program, but you moved to Utah.
Yeah, Brigham Young also has a really good animation program.
Yeah.
So maybe that. Yeah. I mean, I've been really fortunate to meet some super cool people out here. And you just had Leo Espinosa on, right?
Yep, and he's out there too, right?
He's actually like my neighbor. Like I could walk to his house. I have walked to his house. It's like my claim to fame.
Does he know that you walk to his house? Yeah.
I like to go hide in his bushes and watch him work.
I know. I can walk to his house and look in his windows, and I know when he's out sunbathing.
Hey, Leo. No, definitely get invited. Yeah, and I started when I first moved here, of course I didn't know anybody, so I had kind of started organizing just like some meetups with, like, that's how I met him, and like Eric Comstock also lives super close to me.
Yeah.
Brooke Smart is out here. Nate Williams, Melissa Croton. Yeah, there's a lot of people.
It is interesting to I like, and maybe this is okay. This is me being a how do I put this? I'm a real New Englander now, but like when I think of Utah, I don't think of like this big like city hub of like publishing or people, but for some reason it's got this like congestion of illustrators in that one little pocket, and there's got to be, I mean, I assume that it's sort of draws a lot of artists. There must be a good artist community out there, right?
Yeah, and I think that's also just like the mountains in general. We have so many national parks. It's just like, it's so pleasant out here, especially coming from, like, I'm a native Texan. I grew up in a really tiny town, but then I lived in Austin for like 15 years. And I mean, Austin's super rad. I miss it, but like that heat and humidity is unreal. Yeah. It's such a beatdown, and you don't get used to it. Like, I'm from there, and just every year it's just a beatdown. But here, like, we have 4 seasons. 4 seasons. Like fall. First time I experienced fall, like, blew my little pea brain. Yeah, I think this part of the country has like a lot of draws, and yeah, like no humidity is such a game changer.
It's the equivalent of when my parents retired, they looked into this is stuff that everybody wants to know. This is hot topic stuff here.
Yes.
When my parents retired, they looked at what brought them the best things from their list of wants, and they didn't. So it was like they wanted certain criteria for where they wanted to live, and they got rid of the idea that they would live somewhere where they knew. And all of a sudden they ended up moving to Tennessee, which is totally like not anywhere they had any experience with, but they love it because they had chosen like the outcomes of what they wanted their house or their new location to be, not the like region of the country, and it just happened to sort of end up in that location. I have a feeling that could be the same with Utah, where it's like when you look up that pros and cons list, the pros are so high.
Yeah. And I mean, like, my husband and I are also big skiers, and there's 7 resorts within like 30 minutes of our house.
Yep.
There's world-class hiking, rock climbing I used to be really into. So
what's the cons though?
Oh my God. The food here is terrible.
You're coming from Houston too. Houston had good. I bet you can't find a good taco there, is my guess.
I mean, you can, but it's not Tex-Mex. Like, Tex-Mex is a very specific kind of Mexican food. And another thing that I miss so much are the grocery stores. Texas has a really good, like I'm so committed. It's like a privately owned grocery store called HEB.
Yep. Oh yeah. I know the one.
Oh my God. I miss HEB like you wouldn't believe.
I always called it Heb, but I didn't know. Like when my parents lived down in Texas for a little bit. My brother lives down there, and so I had seen it around, but I didn't know. I mean, I knew of it as a grocery store, but I didn't know anything beyond.
Yeah, it's Henry E. Butt is their last name.
Nice. Okay, high class.
Yeah.
High class. So okay, back on track. What are we using tonight? Are we using Procreate?
No, actually, I'm gonna use my colored pencils and whatever else I grab.
Okay, for my wife's sake, because she keeps track of brands and whatnot, colored pencils, are we talking Prismacolors? Are we talking Faber-Castells? Are we talking...
We've got some Prismacolor Action. I've recently become obsessed with these, I guess it's pronounced Holbein?
Wait, they have Holbein colored pencils?
Yes. And if you want to go broke, try one, because you will be converted.
Okay. I didn't even know they had those, and I love Holbein. Like, their color selection is always so fun.
That's it. It's the colors, it's the textures. They're super creamy, and they've got this like nice weight to the pencil. Like, also, like, the width is like fits in my hand really nicely.
Okay, so here's the make or break for me, and I don't know if this makes sense to any of the artists listening, but if you drop it, is it done? Like, if you drop a Prismacolor pencil, good luck trying to sharpen without that thing. And Faber-Castells, you drop them, they're fine. What about those?
I have not dropped one yet because I'm super nervous about that.
Yeah, let's test it out tonight.
No, but that's funny because I did ask about that at we'll call it Blick and not use the first name. I know, it's always funny. It was so funny to me, like, when you're talking to people that aren't artists and you're like going to Dick Blick and they're like, what are you up to?
I had a senior just the other day that laughed hysterically because she had never heard that full name to it, because it's Blick art on a lot of things, but I'm like, no, it's not Dick Blick. And so, like, but yes, it is if you don't know, it's a surprise, because just the combination, it's not even the one word, it's the combination that
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So
I told my husband I need to like ask for gift cards to Dick Blick next year for like Christmas and stuff. But they told me that if you
Uh-oh, I lost audio. I lost audio there for a second. Can you hear me?
can.
Okay, so you said they told you.
Oh yeah, so they told me that if you buy one and you get it home and it's like probably been dropped because you have to keep sharpening it, that you can take it back.
Huh.
Right?
That's good. I mean, that's good if you have that store nearby. I don't. I don't. I would have to drive down to Boston to get a chance, and the parking alone would outweigh the cost of that option. But I would.
Yeah, that's fair.
I as long as I can order them and they get safely packaged and whatnot. As long as you order them through a place like Blick, they know to package them safely. It's ordering them through some random thing might not. So, but I will look into it because Holbein. I love Holbein. So
Yeah, and he told me too, of course, like there's the microwave trick, but I've never tried it because I don't know if these little like foiling on there, like not trying to start I don't know if that would.
How long do you have to microwave them though? Is it like?
I don't know. But I don't.
Not long. But will you tell people what you're talking about with the microwave trick in case they don't know?
Supposedly if you like drop them and the lead breaks, that you can pop it in the microwave. This is not my advice. This was the dude at Blick said that you can microwave it for a few seconds and supposedly it like melts the lid back together.
Yeah.
Everybody has done that, but I don't know if the little like gold foiling on these pencils is an issue.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like the Faber-Castell has that too, but my guess is it's such a small amount that even if it did that, it would be for a hot second and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
I see someone saying Smalt Blue by Holbein is their favorite color. Okay, so outside of materials, and if there's other materials that you start pulling tonight, just yell out the brand name and my wife can keep track of it.
Yeah.
What are we drawing tonight?
So, something different than I told you I was going to draw. My mom texted me a few weeks ago. I grew up on a farm, and she was telling me how the snakes are on the move, and I can't stop thinking about that. And so I'm drawing a snake that's moving to a new house, and he hired some possum movers to help him because he doesn't have any arms and he's got all this luggage.
Okay, makes sense. Total. I mean, that is in the world of kidlit. I mean, if you told someone at some sort of business job like tonight I'm going to be drawing a snake that's moving, possums are going to help them move, they'd be like, "What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?" But in this context, I totally get it. Yes. I totally get it. It makes sense. I think I ended up trying to figure out what I was drawing tonight, and our dogs have been fighting a lot, and it's National Pet Day or something like that. And our dogs have been fighting a lot, but they also like get along really well at other times. And they started doggy daycare, and I keep imagining them telling all the other doggies about what's going on at home. And so I'm doing some sort of I'm not even sure what it is. It's a dance party. It's them fight dancing. The Michael Jackson Beat It, or they tape their hands together and fight each other. I don't know what that's going to be, but my wife just said, "Yeah, you heard them just fighting." Yes, they just chewed each other out there for a second. So, all right. So then it's a matter of just switching to our setup, and we just chat and we go. Rule of thumb is if you need to leave at any point. I know that if I remember correctly, you said you couldn't stay the whole time, but that's okay. You just holler and say, "I gotta go." Or if you want to be mean, you can just turn it off, and I'll be. But I won't hold that against you of any sort. But let's switch to our down shoot so we can get going for the night.
Sounds good.
Right, here we go. With the race. There they go again, those dogs. They're really going at it up there. Can you hear the dogs go at it?
I can.
Yeah, they're for some reason today they have been really at each other's throats a lot, to the point where one of them bit the other one's ear in the scuffle and blood was drawn.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on. We got to figure out what's going on behavioral wise with them. So let's start from the beginning. Way back in 2024. No, 2020. I did my math wrong. What led you to this jump to Kidlit? You mentioned the idea of like working in invitations and things of the sort, and obviously that can be challenging in its own right. What was it about Kidlit that drew you in?
Probably my childhood obsession with little golden books.
Do you follow I'm trying to think of the name of the Instagram handle for it. It's oh man, I'm like totally drawing a blank. I think I'm too tired. Oh man, because I've had them both on. That's really bad. Where they go through golden books, through the history of golden books, and bring up specific.
Are you talking about Josh?
Yeah, Josh Lewis and
Yes.
and Rob, right? No,
I don't know the other one.
Oh, that's really bad. I feel bad that I can't think of the name right off the top of my head. But yeah, they go through all the golden books and like bring up artwork and whatnot. That are you into like old school?
Yes. Yes.
And the weird ones?
Yes, I collect them, of course.
I'm gonna go find one that I want to show you. That's my favorite one in the world.
Please do. Oh, I brought some of my old books and artwork too.
Let me see if I think this is it. Yes. Now this isn't illustration, it's photos, but it is a golden book. And it's one that we found at this so if you can see this on screen, it's one called Laddie the Super Dog.
Laddie.
And it's all photos. But what's really cool about it, or why we loved it so much, is it's talking about how Laddie is special and how he can do these special things. Like he's a magician assistant and he will disappear at times. They did things like that he moves so fast that you could see 3 dogs at once, and so it's all like camera tricks. Or like that he could walk up a wall. And the one that I love the best.
Looks like Laddie's like a Springer Spaniel, huh?
Yeah. There's one in here. Where is it? Oh, this is it, where he disappears. But they asked the kids, clearly like they took a photo with the dog. And they asked the kids all to like act like you are surprised that the dog disappeared. And they're just sort of, even though it's a photograph, you can tell they're overacting. And it's so weird as a concept for a book that we had to get this one right off the bat. And so it's dumb, but we love this book.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've never seen it.
Yeah, well, I didn't know they even did like photo ones. I thought they were all illustrated for the most part. And so when we saw it, we were on it. But what's one of your favorites?
I'm up trying to grab it real quick. Oh. I do. I mean, not that this one is so rare or anything, but I do really love this one. Just because I think the art is so super cool. Old MacDonald definitely did not use sunscreen. He is burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
But I just love his little pink and purple overalls.
I feel like we might have that one over there in our collection.
I love. Oh, and of course, like I love the little car. I love drawing cars. So
you're like one illustrator that enjoys cars, then.
I know.
Everybody hates them.
I love drawing cars. And then this one I found last year. I had never heard of, but this one's a little weird. It's got this great. Look at this little butcher shop. It looks like a little coin purse.
This is, I mean,
little,
most everybody knows the classic ones, like the Tawny Scrawny Lion and all those, but there's so many of them out there that are these like kind of weird, weird ones that not everybody's ever heard of or knew even got made. Yeah, and those are the ones
like this one. Like I love this spread. This would be so much fun, but I'm probably never going to be hired to draw this.
Someday. You got to put
it. Can you put the liver next to the saw?
Well, I don't think that butcher shops in that manner are commonplace anymore. You'd have to find the right sort of like vintage looking assignment
Yeah, for
for
sure.
it to happen. Do you with loving that sort of and I hate to use this term because I don't know if it really captures it all, but I always use the term quirky, sort of that like old vintage sort of fun colors and whatnot vibe that you're talking about and that kind of stuff. Is that something that you sort of gravitate to in general, or is that something that sort of has developed over time? Is that something that you try to naturally put into your work? Because I
No.
do think there is that hint of that. I mentioned it in the ad, like sort of a weird little classic element that shows up in all of your work.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the teal, like magenta, a lot of pink, which I really love. But no, I've always been really drawn to these colors. In fact, I brought for you some of my 5-year-old. When I was 5, I made this. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but there's some like pink and teal going on.
Yeah.
With the like pop of orange. So, I mean, I was 5 when I made this. So this has just kind of always been my vibe.
Do you have a huge collection of artwork from that era?
No, not as much as I would like.
Okay.
I am super sentimental and a collector. And I will also start drawing darker soon so you can actually see what I'm doing. Just laying it out here.
With
No, but I did have a bunch of my like childhood stuff. But it was in our basement and it flooded a couple years ago and it destroyed a bunch of my artwork.
Was that in Utah or was that in Houston?
No, that was here in Utah.
I thought Utah was supposed to be so great.
Right? Damn it.
They have another con as they flood. No, I lost a bunch of. We had flooding in our basement when we first moved into our house here, and I lost a bunch of college artwork. And like we had a whole poster collection of like bands that we loved that every one of them got swamped. And floods are the worst, especially like right now. My studio is in a basement, and it is a huge fear of mine that I'll be teaching during the day or something like that, and it floods, and then I have to call up my wife and be like, pick up every piece of paper that's touching the ground.
Yeah.
Have it flood. But did your parents save most of that stuff, or was that?
Yeah. No, I definitely get my collecting from my mom.
Yeah. I was gonna say that wasn't you, was it? You're like 5, and you're like, Mom, please save this for me. Someday this will be important. And did you know right from the beginning that you wanted to be? I mean, you said you went into tech, so obviously, like, there was a misdirect. No, there was another path, but was art always kind of the thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I also missed like the huge step. Like I studied art and interior design in college.
Okay.
And also, am I shouting?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good.
And then I worked in architecture, landscape architecture for a long time. So that was definitely a creative job. I was a designer. And then I worked for a design build. So everything I designed, I had to tell them how to build.
Were you drawing like topographical, like here's a bush over here and here's a tree over here kind of thing? Or is that, am I misunderstanding the
No, I did, but I was more like, I did do like floor plan type stuff, but I was more on the like hardscaping. So I would, I designed a lot of like furniture, fences, like that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you?
And everything was custom. And so if I designed it, I had to like be able to tell somebody how to build it.
Yeah, how to structurally make it function.
Yeah, so then when I worked in tech, I worked for a construction tech company. So
and now
not quite as random as it seems.
So is your hardscaping and landscaping now like the most beautiful in the neighborhood?
Not even close.
But
Ramshackle is more the vibe we have going on right now.
how is that? You don't have people to yell at and say, make it this way?
No. Oh, and so our house, we've been like remodeling since we moved here. And it's been really tough.
How long have you been there?
3.5 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough time that you've like settled in, but now you're realizing like it's time to start putting in all the money into these things that need fixing up that you held off on. I know that we've hit that threshold now where we're like to the second round of things are starting to fall apart. Like we initially did the pass of like, oh, let's update the kitchen. Let's update this. And now we're at the point where it's the next round of things like, oh, the porch actually is literally falling apart. And we can't put that off anymore. And so tell me, obviously new place or somewhat new place. You've been there for some time now, but still somewhat new. You have the great outdoors there. Is it easy or hard to get in the studio?
Oh, super easy. Super easy. I have a very, very lovely space. I'm so spoiled.
What?
My space is really big for starters. It's like, I don't know, 12 or 13 feet wide by like 18 feet.
Yeah, it's like a full-size room.
Yeah, and it's got it's an add-on sunroom, so it's got windows on 3 walls. And it's got a little Dutch door. It's very cute.
And is it a studio or is it a space just where you end up working?
Both. I claimed and dubbed it. I'm also using.
Are you writing
I'm using these Caran d'Ache. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's the defining factor of whether it's a studio or if it's just a room in your house.
Yeah.
Are you actually writing it all? What? I'm sorry. You're using Caran d'Ache crayons.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So I'm gonna start asking some weird questions.
Oh, bring it on.
Get weird. Okay, so I was thinking about this on the way home. I was like, okay, I need some weird questions to be able to ask. And so the first question that came into my mind, and I have no idea why, was if you were a lemon, what's the first thing that you would do?
If I were a lemon?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I have no idea
what that means. This is just revealing what a Blick I can be. I just thought I'd go squirt somebody in the eye.
Someone that deserved it, or just some random stranger?
No, I actually I have somebody in mind.
A vendetta of sorts that you can. Now, okay, so here's the follow-up question then. If you decide that you want to squirt someone in the eye, how do you squirt someone in the eye? Like, if you are a lemon and your soul and your body and all that fun stuff is the lemon, would that be the equivalent of us like peeing on someone? Or like how, not that you need to get super graphic or anything of the sort, but is that just like you have the ability to squirt out lemon juice? Is that you're just spitting on someone?
Well, it's funny because
my
brain went to I was like, oh, I need to like go jump as high as I can on this mega trampoline and get as high as I can so that when I like hit the ground, I squirt this person
in the
eyeball
over them. Okay. I don't know why that's the first question that popped into my head immediately when I was like, I need a weird question. I just immediately went to lemons right off.
I like it.
Okay. Second question. If someone were to squirt you with lemon juice, what would you do to exact revenge on them? How would you get them back? And why?
Are there consequences?
Are there consequences? No, I'm willing to to play that you can secretly get away, but let's see. Okay. How about this? You can get away with it, whatever revenge you want, but they will know that you did it, because obviously they know that, like, they squirted you with lemon juice, and so they know that it was you that got him back. But no cops are involved. You know, there's no misdemeanors or anything of the sort.
So the FBI.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You know how yearly they get those lemon juice cases?
Yeah.
That bog them down.
The last Dateline I watched. How did I get back out of them?
I mean, I want you to justify it, so it can't just be I'd punch them. Like, you got to come up with something that would be comparable, or would you know, take advantage of the fact that they squirted you with lemon juice. Like, if you said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get them lime juice, and yell out something about Sprite or something of the sort, so be it. But I need the justification.
Damn.
A hard-hitting question.
Good question.
Yeah. You don't come onto this show and expect to walk out without having to answer some of the toughest questions you've ever had.
Yeah. Well, and also, again, not trying to, like, let everybody know that I'm a Blick, you know? I feel like if somebody squirted me, and now I'm already thinking about this person too, if that person got me in the eye with lemon juice, I would probably hit them. I probably would. Like, it would probably just be like a reaction.
Have you ever gotten in a fight? In a physical fight?
Oh my God, that's a great question. Because yes. When I was a kid, when I was in first grade, and I still laugh about this with this guy, this kid, Blake Engel, was making fun of me because I was singing Girls Just Want to Have Fun under this tree, and he made fun of me, and I just, like, reared back and punched him.
Was it he was making fun of you because of the song choice, or because of your singing?
No,
or
no, I think he was just making fun of me and this other girl that I was with. I don't really know why.
Wait, how old were you?
I was in first grade.
Okay, have you had any fights since?
No, not fist fights.
Is there anybody you would like to have a fight with? You don't have to name names.
Oh, I'll name names. No. Put me in, coach. Yeah, you know, I don't know how I'd fare in a fist fight, but I've always played sports and stuff, so I think I'd be all right.
You could take a punch?
I think I could take a punch, and I think I could deliver a swing, I think.
Now, are you a righty or a lefty?
Oh, I'm, like, so right-handed. You could cut. I tell everybody, like, cut my left hand off. It's useless.
So would you punch with your left hand, or would you punch with your right hand based on the fact that your job is working on artwork?
Oh, it would be right-handed for sure. I would just, like, really need Lady Luck on my side.
Yeah, you're willing to risk it for that situation. I'm trying to think if I've ever gotten in a fight. I mean, I've been pushed to the ground by some people and whatnot when I was younger, in the attempt to start a fight, but I didn't. I think I'm a law-abiding citizen, and would not dare risk my reputation. I mean, when I was a little kid, obviously, I probably did some stuff. I know I threw rocks at kids when I was in elementary school, because other kids that I knew were throwing rocks at kids, and then I don't even remember if I got in trouble. But to this day, I'm afraid of the law. You ask them to, or ask anybody to, to challenge me to a fight, and I'm backing down quick.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, no, I will. In my mind, though, I wanna beat up people. Okay. I won't name names, but there are plenty of people that would be on that list. But I think I would be too much of a chicken to follow through.
I hope I get to meet you in person someday.
So we can fight.
And if I do, I'm gonna run up to somebody and squirt lemon juice in their eye.
And then point at
Yes.
me. He did it. He did it.
I saw him.
Yeah.
Saw him with brown eyes.
Just all you gotta do is like get some lemons and hand them to me. I did that today actually. I had had some trash in my hand, and I handed it to a person, and a third person that we were talking to turned and walked away, and I took the trash out of that person's hand and threw it at the person that was walking away. So they assumed it was the person I was with. That was a really complicated way of. I tried to throw someone under the bus by throwing their trash at someone, and of course everybody kind of knew it was me. I'm willing to get other people in a fight. That's easy enough.
Where were you in this?
At school.
Okay.
I threw trash at a student. It's that kind of environment. There's a student, anytime that there are cherry tomatoes around, we throw cherry tomatoes at each other. For whatever reason. I'm not even sure how it started. It was probably me, to be honest. But that's the kind of environment I get to work in. Yeah.
A little casual instigation.
Yes. But with students in particular, and that's the fun part to me, is I get to not necessarily bully, but I get to like, it sounds like bullying. It probably is just straight up bullying.
Squirt lemon juice in their
Yeah,
eyes.
but it's
Watch
more
them
so just
cry.
like, yeah. You know what I love? I love to take a baseball bat to their knees. It's the funniest thing in the world to watch them crumple over. No, I think that a majority of the interactions I like having with students is when it's less of a like lecture-based, top-down environment, and people get to goof around and have a good time. And so that's my sort of MO in the classroom, and maybe to my detriment, maybe to their detriment, I don't know. But I try to keep it light. Let's put it that way. By throwing tomatoes. Okay, so you said that you're willing to get wild and crazy on this. You're willing to wild and out, or whatever that MTV show is. Tell me, what is the craziest thing you think you've ever done in your life? And then I want you to tell me what the craziest thing you think you've ever done in artwork is, to make sure we tie it back to the show.
Oh my God.
It's not just random.
I probably should not answer honestly to the first one.
Okay.
I am I'm in recovery, so I've done a lot of questionable things.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have asked that question then.
Which I would perhaps tell you in person, but
No, you don't need to. You don't need to go there. Now, I mean, there's no murder or anything, right?
Oh no. No, they're all like mischievous, like funny things. Nothing like horrible. Just also not like the thing you drop to a casual person. But if I
They're all racing through your brain right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they kind of are, and I'm like, oh god.
So here, I'll start us off with some fun stuff that we used to do when we were in college, and I probably mentioned some of these on here before, but to give some sense of like some wild stories to get us going. When I was in college, one of the things that we used to do, most of these are kind of gross or weird. One of them was what we called a thing called the pillow refart.
The pillow refart.
Yes. Okay, so what you do, sorry for anybody that's listening to this and having a nice classy meal with like candles and whatnot, but no, this is where it's going. The idea is that pillows are filled with a lot of extra air. You know, it's foam or it's feathers or whatnot. There's a lot of air in there. And so if you can time it right, before a person lays their head down on that pillow, what you do is you sit on the pillow and you let one go and you stand up. And so as it rebounds and pulls air back into the pillow, because you're no longer compressing it, it pulls that air in. And then when a person comes and lays their head down on that pillow, they compress the pillow again and release that air back around what is presumably their face and thus you have created the official pillow refart.
Oh my God. So you have brothers.
I have an older brother, but I got picked on a lot. And so I think when I got to college and I got into environments like teaching and whatnot, I have the opportunity to be the older, like to play the older brother role.
Okay.
But that's the kind of dumb stuff that I did when I was in college quite often. So hit me with, you said you did, I mean, again, I don't want any breaking the law stories because I'm afraid of the law. I'm afraid of the man. He's coming for me right now. But give us a wild one. How wild did you get that you're willing to share?
God, I'm telling you about punching people.
Mm-hmm. It's hard hitting. I don't pull any punches on this show.
Okay, and now remind me. Like I had so many like bad things about myself like flying through my head. Remind me again.
Just some wacky, wild thing you did.
Wacky wild things I did.
I didn't realize this would be like the toughest question of all, partially because you can't say some of the stuff out loud. Okay, how about let's go back then. Did you ever play pranks on people?
Yes, but I also don't want to forget to tell you that per your pillow fart story,
Mm-hmm.
I had an ex-boyfriend whose older brother one time farted in a sour cream and onion Pringles can.
Okay.
And covered it and then like held him down and made him breathe it in.
I don't know why, but the Pringles can, and specifically sour cream and onions, like makes it so much better. Like if it was just regular old Pringles, it's funny to begin with, but like the fact that it was that flavor adds to the equation.
Yeah, it's been
any
prank.
Were you a little sister?
Yeah, I was a little sister, but unfortunately me and my sister got along.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when you asked if I was an older brother, that it made me immediately go like, oh, you were on the receiving end of teasing and whatnot.
No, and I didn't have any older brothers. I had a couple older cousins, but I figured out pretty quickly that like they would get bored and not pick on me if I just didn't fight back.
Yeah.
I know, boring, right?
It's that's the method. That's the method. That was the way that I probably was when I was very young too. And then eventually, now that I can get away with it, I do it too much. In fact, I had a colleague basically call me out on it today, saying that because I didn't make fun of a statement that they made. It was the equivalent of them saying something like Dick Blick, and I didn't make fun of it. And they said, wow, you're aging up. It's like, ouch. Like, you got me good. My wife just said, remember that coffee can fart prank? I have no idea what that means. She's going to have to elaborate. I really have no idea what that means.
Coffee can, caffeine farts.
Caffeine fart. Okay, the show has already devolved into us talking about farts. Okay.
Well, I was already committed. Like I'm drawing a blank on pranks for some reason. But I was kind of thinking about this back in was it October when everybody was doing like Inktober stuff, you did Farttober, right?
Inktober, yeah.
Okay. And I turned it into Farttober.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's just potty humor.
Well, yeah, because I was like, well, maybe I should tell Mark my like childhood fart story.
Go. Yes.
So
you got me riveted already.
Yeah, I used to go to this. So I grew up in a tiny town, out in the middle of nowhere, and I used to go with my grandma to this little cafe called the Country Corner, And we used to post up there for like hours and just like feast. My grandma was like this big old, like lovely fat lady. And we would just stay there forever and just eat and eat and eat. And one time we had like stayed there for breakfast. We stayed through breakfast and then like it was time for lunch. Like that's how long we used to stay at this place. And I was drawing with like the like nobody else was there, and the waitress and like her husband and all these people were like sitting in this booth with us. And I don't remember what I drew, but the guy sitting next to me made me laugh so hard. And I let out this thunderous fart because I was in the booth and it was not a cushion booth.
Oh yeah.
So the acoustics were not in my favor.
The vibration of the wood seat. Yeah.
Yes. And I remember this guy, I can't remember his name, but I can see his face and I can remember the look of horror on his face. He literally like leapt out of the booth. And I remember he was like, I think you should check your pants.
Wait, this is a stranger that said that to you? Because that's a bold move on a stranger's part to just make that.
Oh, he wasn't a stranger. Like I knew the guy.
Oh,
but...
okay. I was gonna say that's pretty bold to sit there and call out, especially a little kid, and say that if you don't know who the little kid. I remember there was a time when I was in. This is like, sorry, we will change the subject here in a second, but I remember there was a time, and I will never forget it because it was traumatizing, being in second grade, and we were all sitting around on the rug, and I knew that I had to pass gas, as my grandmother would say, and I told my friends, which was the dumbest thing I ever could. I was like, "Don't make me laugh. I got to fart. Don't make me laugh." And of course, the first thing they do is try to make me laugh. And I remember, like, I could not control it, and I let one fly. And then all the kids in the class laughed and laughed and laughed hysterically. And, you know, everybody was looking for who did it. And all I knew was my friends knew that it was me because they basically forced it. And I was haunted for some time that they were going to out me to everybody else that, like, remember that day that happened, because it was, I just remember, for some reason I also remember being in sweatpants for the day, and I don't know if that had anything to do with like the fear or whatnot, but it traumatized me pretty hard.
Oh
my God. I remember second grade it was that, and that we adopted some manatees as a class. That's the only things I remember from second grade.
Does anybody else remember it? Like, are you friends with anybody?
No, we moved, and so I never stayed in touch with any of those folks. And so if anybody's listening and they remember some kid named Mark in second grade blasting the class, you're welcome.
I was gonna say, I mean, you could find him on Facebook and, you know, revive the memory.
That's the Facebook where everybody's like, you remember third grade, what fun that was, and what was the name of that kid? Like, instead all the questions are these horrifying questions about me blasting everybody. Okay, we'll switch topics. It does not need to go all night. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a wild question again, and these are but I'm gonna try to make it art related this time. So anybody that's watching for wait, what? Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm gonna try to make them art related. So anybody that's tuning in to hear like good art stories, we'll try to connect the dots. Okay. If you had to have dinner with a living artist, but I'm gonna put a but in there, not just because of the word, but yes. If you had to have dinner with a living artist, but you constantly, no, but they would think that you're a complete klutz the entire night, who are you willing to, basically the question is, who are you willing to be willing to look like an idiot in front of just so you could actually meet them?
Oh, I don't know that I would worry so much about looking like an idiot. I feel like
that comes naturally.
Yeah. Like I just like don't worry. Like thankfully, I just like don't worry about those things anymore. So, and I'm not shy either. Like I'm definitely an introvert, but I'm not shy. So I would probably just like walk up to somebody if I really wanted to meet them and just tell them that. But you know, like if I had to pick somebody right now, maybe David Roberts.
Okay, why?
Because I love his character work so much. It's so incredible.
Even if you stumbled and fell onto him, and I'm trying to think of like what would be the worst, and you spilled a cup of wine in his lap, you'd be cool with that?
I mean, it would suck, but yeah,
It would be a conversation
sure.
starter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He'll always.
And then I would find out, you know, because I was also thinking of Minnie Gray. She's another artist I really love.
Yeah.
But then I would just like find out if they're Blicks, you know.
Yeah. You find out how much it costs to dry clean their clothes. It's not that. Yeah. You get to learn along the way. Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Leo Espinosa.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he meet you? That's like.
Yes. I'm actually filming this from his studio. He's not home.
Yeah.
No, he's like the nicest guy ever. Like he's so freaking like the Venn diagram of like nice, cool, and talented, and he's like right in the middle. Who's the most famous person I've ever met? I don't really keep up with celebrities, so I've probably met famous people and didn't even know it.
But okay, so who's the most famous to you?
So I did you asked, and I'm very candid, and we've already established that I'm in recovery. I won't say his name, but I was in I did go to rehab with like a B-list celebrity.
Oh, a B-list celebrity.
Yeah, he was very good looking, and we were all kind of like swooning over him a little bit. And it was kind of funny because like you're not allowed to have phones in rehab.
Yeah.
So there's no like Googling and like fact checking, and he kind of told us that he was like in some things, and then like when we like checked out IMDb when we all got out, it was like that really wasn't true, was it?
Oh, like what he said was not necessarily factual, or
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna name him.
No, don't name him. But it makes me, I'm trying to think of like the idea of someone saying, so wait, the person said they were in these movies and things and they weren't actually in them, or?
Yeah, he said he did some like voiceover work for like Transformers. And at the time it was this was like 10 years ago, and it was, sorry, I'm gonna turn a light on real quick. And at the time, like we all thought that it was like the like, I never saw it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really watch movies like that.
Transformers.
Yeah. But then it turned out that it was this like low budget like cartoon, you know?
Oh. Yeah, that's kind of, should have clarified and said not the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's that's not fair. Who's with sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do this dog here. Is there anybody famous that lives in Utah in your area that you know of?
Oh my gosh. So I've never run into him, but I would love a little stalking buddy if anybody wants to do this with me. Tan France from Queer Eye
Oh, okay.
lives pretty close. And I would be so psyched to meet him.
Uh, did do you know people that have essentially met him there, or just know that he lives somewhere around that?
Oh, no. I don't know anybody that's ever interacted with him.
But you know that he's in town somewhere.
Yeah.
Just I don't. To be honest, I don't. I mean, I know the name, and I think I know what he looks like, but I didn't ever watch that version of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. 'Cause that's what he's from, right? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah. We watched the old one, and so I know all the old, all them old ones, those ancient ones. With okay, so I'm gonna go back to art because people are probably going like, why are we not talking about art this whole time? Tell me a little bit about sort of getting into this world of Kidlit and what some of the challenges that you've seen for yourself. Are there things that you could give as like pointers to those who are trying to break in that you wish someone had told you?
I'm trying to break in. Gosh, I think a big one for me was like I got an agent like pretty early on before I had like really like defined like my goals and like what I wanted and like researched, and it wasn't a good fit, and I just didn't really know that at the time.
Okay.
So I think
So
that
this,
maybe it's not quite break in advice, but I would say like maybe don't be like so charmed by an agent offer, because I didn't submit to them. She found me.
Okay.
Um
Was it someone who, and not to name names or anything of the sort, but was it someone who, when they found you, did they have a lot of clientele, or was it someone relatively new?
Yeah. No, and it was a really big agency, and I was so flattered.
Okay.
And I just felt like things were really going to take off, and they just really didn't.
Because I've heard similar situations from people where sometimes it's like, the reason why I ask that in particular is just the idea if they found you first. Sometimes that's someone doing a lot of outreach in the sense of like, let me just ask a lot of artists and build up my list of names for clout or for whatever purpose on their end. But obviously you didn't stay with them, and you've shipped on, and you're with Salaway. How do you say it? Salaway?
Yeah, Jennifer March Soloway. She's amazing.
We're agency buddies.
Yeah.
I have a different agent, but we're agency buddies with both of them. Jens. How many Jens are at that agency at Andrea Brown?
I think there's 4.
Yeah. Okay. And
March Soloway, Lofren. There's
Rofe.
Rofe.
And who's the other one? I'm drawing a blank on the other one, but there's too many of them to keep track of. So when they send out I think it's always funny when they send out their like Christmas card. They have the pictures of them all, and they have to be very careful because like if it's stylized, they have to make sure they put the letters, the last name letters there, so everybody knows which Jen they're talking about, because they all like also look very similar in some ways with like glasses and things of the sort. So you can't rely on just like a stereotyped version of a person. You have to figure out exactly like, or you have to have that label to make sure everybody knows which one you're talking about. And then when you ended up with Jen Rofe, was that something that you reached out, or was that something that she reached out? What was the?
Oh no, I'm with.
Or no, I'm sorry.
March Soloway.
Yeah, Soloway. I said Rofe. I'm sorry, but Soloway.
Yeah, don't let it happen again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
clearly joking. I'm
know
actually digging around
I heard stories
in a
about
box.
you punching people before, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. There's this kid who used to talk bad about you and say that you were real mean and
Yeah.
extra punchy.
Don't make me fart in a Pringles can, Mark.
Yeah. This is if I could get someone to do that on this show, I could actually wrap the show. I could say I'm done doing this. I've achieved everything that my guest has farted in a Pringles can to try to get me back. Okay, sorry. How did you and Jennifer Soloway become pals?
I queried her.
Okay.
I went through the querying process, which was, oh my god, that was beat down.
Taxing or what? When you say
yeah, just taxing.
Yeah.
Just mentally exhausting.
Was she the only one you queried, or were there other folks that you queried?
I queried 2 other people.
Okay. At the same agency or
No, at different agencies.
Okay. Because I know they have a limit, like you can only query one, and I didn't know if it was like and then limit on time on how often you can query and whatnot. But for those that don't know, and I think most everybody watching probably does know, but just in case, because querying was a term I did not hear until Kidlit. I heard about getting agents, and I had agents, but I didn't hear the term querying until much later. But the idea of it's a letter, I don't even know why it's called querying and not just like writing an agent. But you write to an agent and you send them a letter and say, hey, I want to be repped by you. Here's my work. And they have rules that you have to sort of follow depending on the agency. But was it a long time before you heard back, or was it a pretty instant sort of?
No, it was neither. It just felt like a really long time. It was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6.
Okay. I know.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Just the whole like, I made the mistake. So I have an email tracker, so I can tell when people have like opened my emails. I mean, that didn't really matter for Andrea Brown because they use Query Tracker.
Yeah.
But the other 2 people that I queried was through email, and just like I was going crazy, just like, open my email, look at my website.
My first thought when you said you had an email tracker is instantly just like, I hope Leo Espinosa doesn't have a video camera that can track who's around his house.
Oh my god, that's too
I
funny.
think just build up this idea somehow that you are a stalker.
A stalker that punches people. Yeah. His house is so cool too. And he's so humble. Like, he would never tell you any of this. Yeah, so I didn't finish. Yeah. So like I started organizing these like meetups for like people, kidlit people, like the last couple years, just like grab coffee, you know, get to know each other. And we had a few of those, and then Leo hosted one at his house, and he did like a bagels and books, like art exchange, or not art exchange, book exchange. And so he invited all of us over to his house, and it was like being on like an AIA tour. It was so gorgeous.
Was it?
So AIA is, that's the I'm like AIA, and then I can't tell you what it is. Yeah. Institute of Architects. They do like home tours.
Okay. I was just gonna say, I don't know what that is. At first I was like, this is something that I should probably know, but yeah, that's not something that I would know. That's a previous job name that you can drop that is gonna understand. Was he did he show you his studio and all that fun stuff?
Yes.
Did he show you all of his cool colored glasses?
Yes. Well, he's wearing his cool colored glasses. Yeah. But all of his like books, and he's got just really superb like mid-century taste. So that's what it's like whole houses, and like his wife is super lovely, and I mean he had like vinyl going. It was the real deal. He's the most famous person I know.
I'm trying to like he when he came on, I didn't realize that he had. I mean, I knew I'd seen pictures of him, but I think I'd only seen black and white pictures of him, so I didn't realize that he had these like bright green glasses.
Yeah.
Very, very iconic. Now that when I think of him, that's all I can think of are these bright green glasses. Okay, we need to stop talking about him. It's not helping your cause. That's all I'm saying. It's not helping the cause. I heard that he has like a really, really easy to climb over fence. That's what
Yeah.
Is there so going back to sort of getting the agent and whatnot, were you getting work prior to that, or was the landing the agent sort of the beginning of, like, I don't know the timeline enough to be able to sort of pinpoint?
Oh no, I mean I got my first projects through my first agent. Like it wasn't all like a lost cause, you know? Like there were things that worked out. I just I did my first book, which was like an educational project with a really small imprint. And then I got a bigger book, which was also an educational book. And there were just some times when I just didn't feel like I was getting the support that I needed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm very fortunate to be in a group on Discord with a bunch of illustrators, and we share very candidly about agents and money, editors, like experience. And when I was added to that group, and I was sort of hearing how other people were being, you know, their agents would advocate for them and such, I was like, oh, I'm not in the right place.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that hearing from other folks sort of how the other agencies operate can always be sort of challenging, or to hear what was surprising to me when I first started was hearing people talk about, like, once you got an agent, that it's okay to like break up with your agent, that it doesn't have to be you're not tied to them forever. And I think that my mentality before that was like, well, you finally found an agent, so you better stick with them. That's not always the healthiest thing for people in the long run. Is there stuff that Jen in particular for you has been extremely helpful on, in the sense of, like, if someone were to land an agent, what were the things that you think that she does that you would hope that everybody else what do I want to say, like, has the opportunity or gets the benefit of?
She is so incredibly supportive, for one thing. I've been pretty astounded. So I've been with her about a year. And I've had a few offers come in that have been pretty low or just not the right fit for some reason. And she's been so supportive in me saying no. And almost on all of them, she's also, I mean, ultimately the choice is mine, but she has advised me to turn them down.
Yeah. And she's not doing it for money.
Right.
On her. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, she works off of commission exclusively. So it could be very easy for her to, you know, push me in a specific direction and say yes to everything. And she doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Is there, do you have conversations a lot, or is it something wherein you just check in periodically? How is that sort of operate on your end?
When I first signed on with her, I was talking with her pretty frequently. And then, like, we've kind of found our flow, you know?
Yeah.
I do like to just check in with her periodically, just to like, hey, here's what I'm working on, just to get like a pulse, because I'm a very detail oriented person and I struggle a lot with like big picture thinking.
Okay.
So she's been really helpful in like let's take a look at your portfolio and like, oh, I realized that like, you know, if you want to get this kind of work, then maybe like you should represent some of this, like draw some more of this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
or
oh,
whatever makes sense for that.
yeah. She's also really impressed me with her industry knowledge and just how sharp she is about like process and editorial vision and yeah, there's just a level of competency where she just kind of blows my mind every time we chat.
Is and forgive me because I don't know, but I know you've done lots of books and whatnot, but have you written?
No, I have like a couple story ideas, but that's I don't have anything that's like ready to go on sub or anything.
Okay, yeah, that was when you mentioned the idea of the editorial. I didn't know if you meant for text or image in particular in that situation with her. That's the one, like, I feel like art wise I can manage, or I can track my own work relatively easily just because of doing it for so long, but it's the writing side that I am so glad to have help when I can get it, because I'm not a proficient writer of any sort. Do you feel pressure in the sense of having to perform on the writing side since it's a literary agent?
No, not at all.
Okay. That's
no.
I think there's, and the reason why I ask that in particular is I do have lots of folks that I've talked to over time that have said things like, well, I'm not doing any of the writing, but I probably should, or what does a literary agent expect on that end? And I do think it really just depends on the agent and depends on the agency, what their expectations are. But as long as there's no hidden pressure that you have to perform in a certain way for them just because that's the type of agency that they're, or because they're called a literary agent, I don't think it's necessarily fair.
And I mean, I do want to write. I have done 3 books. I was actually hoping my 4th would be announced today, and it wasn't. So it should be announced next Tuesday. I also want to just get like a little experience under my belt with illustration only.
Yeah. Is there a type of book in particular that you're aiming to illustrate or to work on in particular?
I mean, the one that's going to be announced, I'm pretty excited about it.
Because of subject, or because of author? Because of, not that you have to say what it is.
Yeah.
What?
No, I mean, yeah, more to be revealed on Tuesday, but all of the above that you mentioned. But I will say it's a Halloween book, so I'm exceptionally excited.
Is it with Elvira?
Oh my God, Elvira! No, but that's so funny that you said that.
That'd be pretty amazing to do a book with Elvira on Halloween. So I bet you there's got to be. She's probably got to have tried writing some picture book or something, right? She feels like that would be like a rally to me.
No idea, but that's like dating us.
What? It's not. It's not. I'm not. Are you calling me old?
I think it's so funny too, because my husband and I joke that one of our cats, we have 3 cats, we joke that one of them is Elvira.
Now, whenever someone says Elvira, this will date you right here. If someone says Elvira, do you immediately sing the Elvira, giddy up, um-poppa, bow wow?
I don't even remember.
Okay. That's not from her, but that was like a song. I don't even know who sang it originally, but there's a song called Elvira that is a song that they used to play in gym class when we had like square dancing in school. Well, wait, first of all, did you square dance when you were in school?
No, I did not. And it's I grew up on a farm.
Yeah, you would think that you'd like know that song by heart.
No.
Okay. I don't even know who sings it. There's got to be my wife, if she's listening, you got to look up the Elvira song. And it has nothing, I don't think it has anything to do with Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Wait. Lauren, what was that? The Oak Ridge Boys. That's who sings it. But if you, after this, oh, it's just about some awesome lady. Maybe that's where she got the name. I don't know. But whenever I hear the name Elvira, I just immediately go into Giddy up, um-poppa, bow wow. And I know it doesn't make any sense probably for those that are out there that have, obviously, square dancing was not the hip thing to do, nor was it for me, but we all had to do it. Okay, weird questions. Let's go back. Weird question. Your least favorite subject in school and why?
Oh my God. Math.
But why?
Because it's numbers for one.
Do you still struggle with math?
Yeah, my math skills are pretty sad. But I also think that math is one of those like subjects that like I don't feel like, well, first off, I did not go to like some fancy school or anything, but I think that math is hard to teach because I feel like, I don't know, I'm thinking specifically of one of my calculus teachers, and it's like he understood what he was doing, but he wasn't able to relay the concepts. He would just like do the problem on the board and expect us to understand it.
Okay.
And so I think that there's often a disconnect with like some science teachers with like the emotional connection with the teaching aspect.
Now, would you have liked, because I've always said this, and I know a lot of people say this, but the idea of like, if there was how to balance a checkbook, would that have been okay math for you, or was it just literally math in general?
That would have perhaps been more useful. I've never been into math. I've always been like history, art.
When you were in school, did you have shop?
We did, but I didn't take it. I would have loved to have taken it though.
Did you have home ec?
Yeah, we had home ec, but another one that I didn't get to take.
What did you didn't get, like, you had to take both of those when I was in school. And maybe I mean it may be a slightly different era, or it might be a different, I mean, obviously we did square dancing and you didn't do square dancing. Like all the cool kids in Minnesota. Or in Colorado. They did it in Colorado too. Okay, so if you had to go back and teach, and you can't teach art, but you had to go back and teach in high school. But no, let's make it middle school. Let's make it a harder question. You have to go back and teach in middle school. What's the subject you go back and teach?
Probably history.
History of what though? Like what's the?
I really fell in love with my European history class. That was in high school, but that has stuck with me to become like a lifelong love.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say European history.
And do you still remember the stuff from that class?
I wouldn't say that it's that I like can like spat off facts or anything like that. It's more that it's the kind of entertainment that I reach for. Like I really love documentaries, and I'm very into like World War II history and like America in the post-war. I love the Victorian era.
Are you secretly someone's grandpa?
I do even kind of dress like a 1940s grandma. That is kind of my vibe.
I like the History Channel too, but I feel like it's very much like oh man, there's lots of World War I, World War II documentaries on, and I feel like it's not everybody's cup of tea, or it tends to be like the old man who's, yeah, remember those days. that likes to watch it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would be a good grandpa though.
I like the confidence there. Okay.
I'm
Question.
also very much wishing that I had brought paints because I really don't like my truck and I really want to paint my building.
Oh, to go over it or something with it?
Yeah, I just want to do like a cutout because I just don't love this, but I'm liking this more like layered dimensional thing over here.
Yeah, I'm at a point where like I'm at the stretch of this where nothing looks good yet, and eventually it will.
Yeah,
But
yeah, the ugly phase.
yeah, I'm very much in that ugly phase right now, and I mean these are based on my dogs. They're not going to be my dogs proper just because I wanted different colors. But at some point I will do pictures of my real dogs. But it just like it doesn't have enough down, so it feels very like here's a couple of dogs with funny arm positions, and that's about it. And eventually we'll get there. But I assume that's sort of the phase that you're into, where it's
Yeah. Well, and I don't know why I chickened out of painting. Well, actually, it's not like chickened out. I'm just not. So I learned how to illustrate
yeah.
digitally first, and I've been trying to learn how to paint and use traditional media, and it's been a ton of fun. Um, I'm just not super confident like layering yet because I'm also very impatient. So like factoring in dry times.
So let me ask you a question. This is maybe a loaded question here, but if you are, if you started digital, most people would go, well, why even go back to something like traditional? Is there a reason for going back or trying to play, not necessarily going back, but I think like historically going back to something like that? Is there some benefit that you see long term? Like I'm coming from the other end where it's like I like the traditional because of some of the things that it gives me on a process and technical aspect.
Yeah.
But I know that, in a sense, it's kind of antiquated. And some people might look at it and go like, well, that's a silly thing to sort of want to play around with it, especially if you're already living in a digital world. And so,
Oh no, for me, I think maybe I'm a bit bored with my digital work.
okay.
And I just want to breathe a little bit more life and imperfection
Gotcha.
into my
Gotcha.
work. And I'm still playing, like, I'm happy with the colors I've chosen here, which is working for me because I also do a lot more like planning digitally. There's just like, I feel like it's working digitally for me has become this like constipated process. And it doesn't feel like the right thing to be using for me to loosen up.
What do you mean by constipated? Like, can you define? No, I mean, I know what constipated means. No, don't start there. Although I love that. I love those conversations. But do you mean just like it's yeah, explain.
I just think like it's not going anywhere for me,
Okay.
personally. And like when I look at all of like my favorite artists, like they're all working traditionally. So I have like the intrigue and the inspiration, and I've just really been enjoying working intuitively instead of like here's this step-by-step thing that I do. I just feel like I have this workflow that really works for me digitally, and I can do it pretty quickly, and at an ability that I'm okay with. Like I look at my work and all I see is room for improvement, right?
Yeah.
But like if I have an idea for something, I know how to execute it. But like I I just want I just want a little more touch and spontaneity in my work, and it just seems like approaching that traditionally is the best route.
Do you feel like that's something that was, you're doing it now or trying to approach it now with is the intention to stay in that world, or is the intention to bring, like just for functionality wise, I look at or ease of process. Admittedly, I always get jealous of people doing digital work because you want to adjust a color, you You can do it very quickly. And I guess I mean I can Photoshop too, but the like being able to edit on the fly or have layers move stuff around after you've already done a lot of creating is honestly easier. And so some people might try to go like traditional and then bring that skill back to their more digital approach. Or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really, and that's interesting you say that, because something I'm really not liking, like this teal color that I used for this truck, like now I'm kind of running into like the limitations of what I have available to me in the color range I've purchased.
Yeah.
So now I want to add all these little details, but I don't want them to be black, but I don't have anything that's a darker value.
Okay. So you're sort of not necessarily limited, but it's more work to get you there, whether it means that you have to go out and buy
yeah
or
yeah
I mean the challenge, like looking at,
but I also
go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, I also think that like learning how to use traditional materials is gonna like enhance me as a digital artist, and some of the skills I know as a digital artist are like making, you know, appearing in this. So
the one of the challenges I never really think about it all that much, just because I don't really have much of a choice. But with the brands of paint that I use, they don't have every color in the world. I mean, it's when you're working digitally, it's 256 million colors to be able to pick up. And as much as I love working with paint, you can't just go and get 256 million tubes of paint. You can stuff, but can you mix every single color that's there? Not necessarily. And so that does become a bit of a challenge in my mind of like, or there is a concern about limitation in some sense in that, because of just literally the materials at hand. With doing some of the traditional stuff, are you still, I assume you're bringing it back into Photoshop or something to sort of Procreate and still adjusting things thereafter if you are doing some traditional materials? Trying to keep it.
Yeah, and I've been like dipping my toe in it too, where like I'll paint, actually what I just cut this from, like I painted this texture and then I used it digitally in a piece.
Yeah. Gotcha. Is this stuff that you've talked with Jen about in particular? Like, has she been, I mean, obviously she's going to be supportive and she's not going to go like, no, you can't do this. Is there a conversation happening about sort of like how this plays into, you know, the types of books that you'll get, or?
No, I mean, honestly, I haven't even really shared this with her beyond like a topical, like I'm still, like this is still just something that I kind of do like in the evenings when I'm done with work, like just kind of poking around. And I will say, you know, I'll give myself a little pat on the back for how I've approached this evening, because when you and I were supposed to meet in January, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to like figure something out, and then I'm gonna have to like practice, and it's gonna have to be digital. But today I was just like, no, like I've just evolved a bit in my approach, and there has been actually something that I've done that has helped me with that. I have, are you familiar, do you follow Beth Spencer?
I believe I do. Yeah, the name sounds.
Introverted Art Club.
Yes.
Yeah, so I started attending these like draw-alongs, and I just started doing them traditionally, and they're you know, they're just these like hour-long sessions where she'll share photos of, you know, whatever, and you just draw it for a few minutes. And those have been so helpful for me because somebody else is choosing the subject matter, so I don't have to like waffle about that. And it's just been like playtime instead of obsessed time.
Just the idea of, and I want to make sure, because I've had people ask me like in the past of like, oh, so you don't like digital art? Or I guess that's not asking, that's stating. And that's not true of any sort. but I do think that potentially working traditionally allows for a little bit more play
Yeah.
and room for errors, because you literally don't have the undo button.
No, exactly. And that's what I'm like. I'm looking at this piece right now and I'm like, well, damn it, I want to redo the car, but it's fine because I can just redo the car. I'm just going to paint this color and cut it out.
Yep.
And it's done.
Yeah, I think it's very, very much a, like, you have to think about how to approach stuff. Like,
yeah.
you literally have to cover up something. But to me, I don't think my work would be the same if it wasn't for the mistakes and the irregularities. Like, I think my hand is the way that I was originally sort of put into this world of art was very traditional in the sense of like my upbringing through school and like the expectations that I had on how I would make edges, and it was very much a like cleanliness and sharpness and realism was the thing to do at the time, or not necessarily it was realism, but just there was an approach that everybody sort of accepted at the time, or was more of the popular look, and it's hard to get that out of your system.
Yeah.
It's hard to stop and just say, like, you know what, who cares about those rules? I'm going to play for my sake. And I think that if you can get that, or get to that point where, like, who cares about what other people think about your work, it makes life so much easier in general for you.
Yeah, and I also have some really bad digital habits. Like one of them, because I actually usually start my sketches out traditionally, because if I do it digitally, so like let's say I draw this possum or whatever,
Yeah.
And if there's something I like about it, but I want to like experiment with the face or something, like I'll just duplicate that layer and mess with the face. But that's again where you lose that playfulness and exploration, and that's like playing into my like perfectionism that I struggle so much with.
The amount of OCD and perfectionism that rolls through illustrators is probably pretty heavy. And I think it also hits everybody in different ways. Like what I get obsessive over is not necessarily what other people get obsessive over. I get obsessive over like this texture against other things, and like the equivalent of I'm playing with all these textures and adding colors, and like there's edges that I think are really important to me, but other people might look at it and go like, I would get rid of that, what have you, and like it's the best part to me are those weird little edges that pop up. How do you know as an artist, is that right? Yeah, I guess I can get away with that. How do you know you are done, or when your work has sort of succeeded, or does it ever succeed for you?
I am my own worst enemy, so I will always look at something and all I'll see is what I need to do differently, better, blah blah blah. For me, I think things are done when I hit that first like, sweet, like I'm into this, like, and I want to like stop and go do something else.
Okay.
I think it's like a point of acceptance almost, like I like love it and I'm really into it, and so to just like call it done. Like I'm a I have a lot of hobbies, and like I have a lot of like things that I want to do in life, and like sitting there obsessing over one thing just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Is there, I mean, obviously when it's done, but is there like is there an aha moment for you that you could actually track and say like, oh, I clearly like that is the moment on this piece that, like literally down to the second, or like the mark? Or is it sort of as you're working, it just sort of naturally happens and you go, oh, that feels done?
Yeah, I think it's like as I'm working it, and I also like I look at my work in black and white a lot, and so when I can like when the focal point is right and the values seem all right, that's usually when it's like, yeah,
quitting time.
yeah.
Of
And
some
then
sort.
yeah, what I usually do is I'll take a screenshot of it and I'll send it to my mom. She's my creative director. And if there's anything that I'm uncertain on, like I'll take it to a point where I can sleep on it or step away.
Is your mom an artist?
She wouldn't say that she is, but she most certainly is.
Is she
Isn't not in the traditional sense. Like she doesn't paint or like make fine art or anything, but she's incredibly talented and creative, and just she can make a masterpiece out of anything she comes across.
And does she know enough about illustration, or are you looking for her to sort of relay sort of general idea of perception of your artwork?
She's got like a very dialed in sort of natural understanding of like the principles and elements of design. Like she can call out, like she can recognize like, oh, there's not enough contrast or it's not balanced or the proportions or something. Like she's just got a really good eye for that naturally.
And is she proud of all the things you've done?
She is.
I think it's funny, like I asked that and then I giggled to myself. You probably didn't hear it, but I don't know why, just because like how cheesy that question was.
No, I mean my mom is my best friend. We're very close.
That's cool.
So yeah.
My mom is not my best friend. She's all right. My mom's all right.
She's all right. I might squeeze lemon juice in her eye.
Yeah. If you want to, you can, because sometimes my mom can be a real she doesn't watch this ever, I don't think, and if she does, I'm just joking.
Just joking,
yeah.
Mom.
I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the mouth on this.
I need to sneak a peek. Oh yeah, see something I love so much about your work, like the brown pop with the like corally lavender, like those colors. I'm like clutching my heart right now.
I'm trying to get like it was Christopher Silas Neal or whatever liked some work of mine, which of course I'm like a huge fan of his, and he mentioned the colors, and I was like, okay, so if I'm gonna do dogs, I'm not gonna do traditional dog colors. I'm gonna play in strange dog colors, because it's funny because people ask me all the time, like, what's your favorite color? And I always say sort of yellows, but I honestly think more recently it has been fluorescent pink, or fluorescent orange or fluorescent red, and I don't know, as it's a color I naturally would say, like off the top of my head, like, well, that's quintessentially me. I sure do love my pinks, but it is a very fun color to play with because it is so abstract and like unnatural of sorts.
Yeah, actually, I bought this Liquitex acrylic paint because of you.
Which sorry, it takes a second for it to show up on my end. Is it the
soft body?
Oh yeah. Is it a fluorescent? I can't see on the.
No, it's not a fluorescent. It's just a magenta. But oh my god, yeah! Like you just like won me over with this squeeze bottle too.
Oh yeah, I love the tubes are fine, but I really like these squeeze bottles. Except for when you get to the bottom of the bottle, it's very hard to like. It's easy to roll a tube down to the point and get like the last little drops. And maybe it's a little harder with these, but I love these little squeeze bottles compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, because I'm realizing like I really want to do this building and this little truck in gouache, but I don't have any water. But something that I've discovered, not with the acrylic gouache, but the traditional, is like, I don't know, I kind of don't have the patience for these like little fiddly tops.
Oh yeah.
It's a really specific thing, but I hate when I'm like, I just want to like put the lid back on and not like fiddle with it and like try and get the threads right.
That's yeah. They just snap on, and they're and the other thing too with those the threaded things is like if paint gets in them, they can get really stuck.
Yes.
And it can be near impossible to get the lid off sometimes. Like there's plenty of my tubes of paint, the standard Liquitex acrylic paint, that have teeth marks around the edge because I've had to essentially chew them off to get the paint out of them eventually. And I like these little snap-on lids. And the fact that they I don't know why. Well, I guess I do know why. They only do them in soft body is because it flows out of those easier than it does what a heavy body would. But they are my babies now. The downside is like they're very easy to tip over on my studio desk here, and so if I don't put them down right, they all sort of fall, and it becomes a dominoes game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Are there art materials in particular that you are like absolutely in love with now that you're starting to play with sort of traditional materials?
Yeah, I mean, definitely this Holbein gouache. I love this stuff, and I love finishing off the details with like the Holbein pencils that I was telling you about, and these luminance pencils. I love these, the Neo colors too. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think that I'm destined to be somebody that finishes a painting with paint. I think I'm going to be somebody that blocks everything in with paint and then goes in with the details in pencil.
Comes back later. That's, I mean, essentially, I don't even know if, like, I do stuff with traditional, but I admittedly go back to the digital at the end to clean everything up. Like, it's so much easier to sharpen up edges or to get rid of. I mean, my challenge with all my stuff is just stuff gets sticky with glue.
Yeah.
And then I have cat hair or little smudges of things everywhere that I have to contend with for the rest of the piece, and I don't want to have to always do that. And so,
wait, did you just say cat hair?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that you had a cat.
We have 2 kitties.
Oh.
Yeah. This is their dumping ground here down in the basement, and so they come down here frequently, and it's cat hair and brush hairs because I don't buy the most quality brushes in general, and so it becomes a problem.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, one of my biggest updates to my studio over the last few months is that it's actually become a doodie-o because my oldest cat is 15 and I had to put a litter box in here for her.
Oh, that's what I got. I got 2 litter boxes down here, and we had 3 cats at one point, and we wanted to make sure that one of them was going in other locations, and so we put a second box down here, and we haven't removed it yet. But it's not fun to have that in your studio.
No, but it is fun to call it a doodie-o.
Yes, I do like that term. I will use that term from here on out. Do you just have cats?
Yeah, we have 3 cats. My babies.
Nico says the cats go to the basement and fart in Pringles cans. Do you have dogs?
No, we don't have a dog.
How can you not have a dog? You're out in Utah. You have all that world for a dog to play in.
I know. And we do have a nice backyard. Like I said, it's got the ramshackle vibe, but it is nice.
I've to the conclusion that I think I am a dog person. And it's not to say that I don't love my cats, but there's something about a dog that, like, the devotion and the when you come home, they wag their tails and the cats just walk by and don't care.
Oh yeah. See, I've been crazy cat lady since I was a kid. I've always had cats.
How many cats? What's the max number? Because I don't feel like you can call yourself a crazy cat lady if you only have like 1 or 2. But if you had like 10,
actually 3 is the max I've ever had.
Okay, that's not
I just love them. Like, there's nothing better to me than curling up with my cats.
Do they
And a good book.
with you?
Oh,
Because that's the problem with our cats is like they don't come lay in our lap all the time. Now, partially because we have the dogs, but they're also not. One of them in particular is just not the most like snuggly of cats unless it's on her term. But are your cats snugglers just to begin with?
oh my gosh. One of them is my conjoined twin, my oldest girl. Yeah, I've had her for 15 years and she is my best friend. She's glued to my hip. She's also so mean, but she's my best girl.
What do you,
And then
why so mean? What is
I
that?
don't know. Oh, she's just grouchy. She's a noisemaker. Like there's never any risk that there's going to be any violence or anything. She growls a lot and she hisses. She's just a mean old lady.
And then you said there's another one, right?
Yeah, our we have a Russian blue boy that's just the biggest sweetheart. And his birthday is actually tomorrow, so we're having a little barbecue for him.
Is the barbie like you're gonna make food for the?
Yeah, I mean we're making the
Barbecue for
food
you.
for us, but you know, I have the little happy birthday banner up for him.
What are the kitties' names?
So my oldest cat is named after Three's Company. She's Mr. Furley.
Nice.
Middle
Wait, she's
cat.
Mr. Furley?
Yeah, she's Mr. Furley. When I got her, she was too little to tell the sex, and I picked the name and didn't change it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and then we have a very sassy calico named Merle, who's using the litter box in my studio right now.
And is Merle a boy or a girl?
Merle's a girl.
I like because isn't Merle normally a dude's name?
Yeah, usually.
I like the fact that you got the gender swapped
Yeah.
name in a situation. And I also like the idea of Merle the girl. I assume you must do that all the time. Yeah. We got Frankie Peanut Butter.
Frankie Peanut Butter.
And we got jelly beans. So it's just Frankie and beans. And then our dogs are Chicken Noodle Corn Dog is one of them, and the other one's Little Miss Mayonnaise.
Oh my god, I love all the condiments.
Yeah, they're when we got Noodle, there was we were talking about I wanted to name a dog Soup because I thought it was funny, and then we ended up my son wanted Corn Dog, and so my wife said Chicken Noodle Corn Dog, and that was pretty set. And then Little Miss Mayonnaise, they're all coming up from the South. And to me, she's a white dog, and so once I got the idea of mayo, I had to fill it out so it felt like some sort of like little Southern Belle competition, like they have the Mayo Festival, and this is Little Miss Mayonnaise, and she gets to ride on the back of a Cadillac convertible and wave.
Oh,
but they're totally not that type of dog. They're both. I mean, Little Miss Mayonnaise eats her own poop on a regular, and Chicken Noodle Corn Dog is a pain because she howls and yells.
Oh.
Dogs, but
well,
I still love them.
You can put the little poop eater on her little sign on her little Cadillac for the parade.
Yeah, she is the prince the what do you call that
the first in the county that ate the most poop.
Yeah. She's that, but for not for mayo. She would be the contender for dog poop.
Oh.
It's pretty gross, honestly, because she burps and then it's bad.
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
It is not fun times. But yeah, I don't think names on dogs should be normal ever, or pets in general. So every time I'm gonna go for the wildest name I can come up with.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what were the other ones that we I know we were looking at chickpea at one point, or like tofu. It was always like food stuff. I don't know why it's always food stuff, but food stuff is funny. Or things like Gladys, because it's super funny to me to have these names that are sort of the antithesis of a of a pet. They're old people
Yeah.
names. So like
Yeah.
Merle,
Yeah.
the good one because it's right in that same ballpark.
Yeah, Merle. And then the other cat that we have, his adopted name is Moose, but we call him, he's a Russian blue, so he's all gray, which turned into like, he wears a scuba suit, which turned into Scuba Steve. So now he's Steve.
Is that a reference to what is that, Big Daddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Scuba Steve.
I knew there was
Yeah.
somebody named Scuba Steve and something. Trying to figure out if that's the nose that I want to put on this. Yeah, I could probably get away with that. So tell me a little bit about sort of future projections for you. I mean, obviously you have a book that's going to be announced. You said Tuesday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it, when you say announced, meaning that it's being announced in like publishers?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
and then what is the? Do you have other stuff on the horizon that you're looking at? Is it sort of just when stuff comes in?
Yeah, just when stuff comes in. But another thing that I'm trying to do, I mean, this picture book is going to keep me really busy for the next few months. But I would love to do more like licensing work, and like greeting cards. Like I really do love to draw more like decorative surface pattern design type stuff.
Yeah. Is that
Plus
Jen would rep you on? Or is that
no
something I was gonna?
no not unless I got like an adult book, maybe
Yeah.
like a cookbook or something like that. But no, like I would really love to do like one of my dream projects would be to do like an advent project for Christmas with like a little historic house or something. I love to draw a lot of things that are like for picture books. You see a lot in like the British market, but not so much in the American market.
Give me an example of what you mean by that. I think I know what you mean, but
Yeah, like I love to draw all these little old trucks and very like old-timey like historic shop fronts. That sort of stuff. And I've been given feedback that it's very like British in its like the American market is just a little bit more contemporary.
I can understand that. I mean, it feels like maybe like just post-industrial and some of the vibe, like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and some of the aesthetic choices of cars and things of that sort.
Yeah. And so I think like targeting, like I feel like this is a very like basic female illustrator, but like to be able to work with like Anthropology or like Target to make like homeware type stuff is kind of a dream of mine.
Is the
So
wait, you said sort of a female dream? Is that what did you say? What about Anthropology?
yeah, like I feel like it's kind of like a basic I'm trying not to call myself a basic bitch, Mark.
Yeah, I was about is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, it's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I love that subject matter, and it works really well for a market like Anthropology. So I'm going to try to get in there.
I mean, one of my goals, and I don't know who, I mean, it would be through my art agent. It wouldn't be through Andrea Brown, but I really want to do puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
I think puzzles would be so much fun with like to be able to play with color and because like one of the things I always sort of try to do with my work, I stress to students, is that you can't just put color in one spot only without it like really drawing attention. Sometimes you want to have that like a what I call bookending the color, where it's in. If you're going to put it one place, put it somewhere else too.
Yeah.
A puzzle that only benefits because it adds confusion on sort of like depending on how much color you put and where you put it can add so much of a challenge. But I also know that there's more rules to it than that I just need to probably make some imagery that could probably work with that. But I'm also a person who doesn't like to do lots of little tiny small details.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a
Have
challenge.
you done I can see your work being so great for the toy market. Have you done toy projects?
No, I've gotten some like stupid scam things I was very excited about. I was like, oh, this sounds awesome, and then I realized it was a scam.
Oh no.
But I mean, I didn't do anything with it, but I
Yeah,
found out
yeah.
it was sort of like, we think your products or this stuff would be great on this sort of thing, and I realized later that like they didn't mention um, any variables that would be clear that they were talking about my work. But I could see toy. I mean, the anything that's in that sort of like range. The challenge that I would see is just because of the collage stuff. And so much of that stuff is great if it's like vectorized, because they apply it to so many different things, and so there's a bit of a challenge in playing in this collage world and how that would translate into a sort of packaging or whatnot range. But yeah, no, I mean, the other goal that I have is I would love to have a character that I make get turned into a stuffed animal. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
get one of those books that become so popular that they just like
Yeah.
put Merry Makers or whatever is like, we're turning this into an animal, a stuffed animal for you. That'd be sort of hot for me.
My favorite antique store back in Austin, they were selling for a while these like homemade dolls that were they look just like if one of your, I mean, not just like, but proportionally like if one of your characters were brought to like with like, you know, asymmetrical features and one leg slightly longer. Oh,
Yeah,
they were so cool.
that's I mean, yeah, that's I love that irregularity. Like that's the reason why I like folk art so much, is that like folk dolls are in particular are pretty awesome because the accuracy on it is just not super superb. And so that idea of like having something that is a little goofy in that sense, I'm all about it. I just realized I want to cut off a big chunk of this.
I want to look. Yeah, I want to look, and then I should probably get going.
Bow out.
Yeah, because I realized that I've just been sitting here talking for like a long time now because I decided I wanted to do a cutout of my truck and paint the building.
It's okay. No, this anytime that you need to cut out, like I said, as long as you don't just jump ship and don't tell me, is fair game. And so if you need to jump, that's fine. Help me figure.
I'll hold him under. The little birthday boy just jumped up here to cry at me.
Oh. So I need your help though before you go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna trim off this edge just because I don't like the idea that one's going off the edge and the other one isn't. So I'm gonna break that edge a little bit. I'm gonna have to break it probably about here somewhere. What should I have around? So I'm gonna have them. They're sort of fighting and getting into it with each other. We don't know if it's a fight or a fun party, but should I have other dogs? Should I make this the doggy daycare? What do you think should be like down here? Because I need something down here and I need something that's sort of up in this corner.
It should probably be a can of Pringles.
I mean, honestly, like I could go and there could be pee on things and there could be little toot lines and things of the sort. And so it's like a gassy fight between dogs.
Oh my God. Yeah. They're having like a fart off.
And I could write fart off up here. Yeah. All right. I can do that. I was thinking also of just doing words, like just doing bark, 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 bark.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I also went to, I mean, you got me thinking about condiments. My serious answer, I was joking about the Pringles can, was food. Like if they were like fighting over like some sort of like
bowl of food or something of the sort.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there is a way to put Pringles can in there or something of that. I mean, not necessarily a Pringles, like it doesn't have to say like Pringles can and it's got a big old toot coming out of it, but there's a way to do something there that could have a Pringles can aesthetic, some sort of like dog toy that looks like that or something of the sort. I'll figure. Yeah, I will get there eventually, but that's the rest of the night to figure that guy out. but I do think putting the word bark, 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 so they really are fighting or talking or something of the sort, and then what they're fighting over, I can figure out as I go along. All right. Well, I don't want to. I know that you said that you need to jump ship.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta get out of here before Leo gets home.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good callback. Good callback. I was like, wait, is your husband named Leo? Like, and then I'll stop. Yeah, that's smart. I like the callback. That's pretty darn good. Well, yeah. If you don't see him, say hi for me.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I love this idea of, and you don't want it, but I love the idea of somehow like someone out there just passes on the news that somehow like you do have some sort of stalker mentality with Leo Espinosa.
Oh my God, no.
I'm gonna leak the news. I'm gonna call up the local Salt Lake. Are you in Salt Lake City proper, or where are you in?
Well, I'm not gonna tell you now.
Oh, okay. I'll find out. I'll see where Leo is, and then I'll know he's just down the road.
Oh my God.
Yes, I should leak that to the news so hard.
Hey, some of us are trying to build careers here.
Well,
Trying to get into anthropology.
you can build it in jail. You can
I can lead the arts and crafts program and teach European history.
Yes, at the same time, there's so many options for you. Okay, well, I don't want to keep you if you do need to go, but I really do appreciate you taking the time tonight and sitting down and going through all the nonsense that is this show. Or
Oh my
whatever.
gosh, of course. I also just saw, I think his first name is Chris Thornock.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
Salt Lake City represent. I haven't met him, but I know he's local here too. And then also before I go, I also have to profess my love for Rachel Wilson, who I know.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, she moved away from here and my my heart broke a little bit, but Rachel is just wonderful.
Wait, where'd she move to?
She lives in Washington now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, no, I met her ages ago. In fact, she was the one who sort of helped me start up some mentoring stuff and whatnot back in the day, and so I'm very appreciative. And Chris Thornock, just so you know, don't ever mention where you live. There's a real creep in your neighborhood. You gotta watch out for. So,
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm gonna milk that for all it's worth. All right, you go have a lovely evening. Tend to your birthday cat, and I will be in touch.
I will. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This was an absolute blast.
Okay, good, and we'll do it again at some point. We'll find some other time to do another round. Maybe we should have a Salt Lake City or a Utah cohort. Come on.
Yes.
You round them up, I'll put them on.
I will. I can do that.
I'm not sure what it would entail, but we can do something of the sort. Okay, otherwise, get out of
here. All right. Bye, my friend.
All right, bye. I'm just going to wait a second, make sure that Kaley has actually left. And then I'm going to badmouth Kaley. Badmouth Kaley. There we go. Okay, yeah, now it's just me. What a waste of space. No, for anybody that was not here at the beginning, this is Kaly Quarles. I think I said this is, but I meant to say that was Kaly Quarles, who joined me tonight, and we had something scheduled a long time ago, and it had to get postponed, and now we're at the point we're in. We were able to pin down a date and do it again. Or try again, and we did, and I had a lovely time. And so again, for anybody that does not know Kaly's work, go look up Kaly Quarles. It is just literally at Kaly Quarles, KalyQuarles, and go check out her work and give lots of love. I'm going to keep working on this throughout the night, and so as standard form, if you have questions or things you want to talk about, I will bring up some subjects and we can get into it as we go along. But right now I'm just trying to get my dog's eyes in here, and I got to make him look a little angry of sorts. Now I do not have one pink dog and one blue dog, but you get the gist. So what are we talking about tonight? Let's talk about what's the topic of the evening. Okay, let's go to April Fool's jokes. And did anybody play any? Well, okay, we can talk eclipse. But that's kind of boring. I feel like everybody's talking eclipse, especially in the States. Not everywhere else, because it didn't hit everywhere else in the same way. But let's talk April Fool's jokes. Did anybody have any good April Fool's jokes? Did anybody do anything? Fight at the doggy daycare. I could do a fight at the doggy daycare. I want to do lots of words that say bark, 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 bark. I need to figure out what color to do, though. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, do I want something like, do I want this weird sort of like greenish color, which is kind of fun? And do I want to put peas and farts and that kind of stuff? Lauren, what do you think? Should I put little pea puddles everywhere and then bark, 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 bark around things, or no? You get to make that call. You know the dogs. You get to decide what I do. You have executive decision-making power. No on the PPs? Okay. I say no to pee and fart. That is common language around here. That's a standard phrase that we use in this household. Yeah. I say no to pee and fart. Pee and fart, pee and fart. I say yes to something else. So, again, for those that are tuning in, you can ask questions, you can relay anything, and then the challenge of the evening is to, so far, is to name any cool practical jokes that you did that you're willing to share with the audience. If you don't have any, that's okay. Just means you're boring. Do I have any other? Did I do any practical jokes? No, I get told by my wife said, did I do any practical jokes? And I get told that she doesn't like practical jokes like that, and so I'm not supposed to do them, even though I really want to do them. And I want to put everybody on edge, but I won't do it because I'm afraid of the consequences. I can do them to other people, so like Charlie. You think Charlie would like them? I feel like I tease my students all the time, so it doesn't even matter. I'm doing April Fool's jokes on the regular. I'm trying to get some coloring here that I can use for, just so anybody is wondering, like, what is he doing? Some colors that I can use for putting bark, 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 bark around. So what kind of questions do people have? How can I help tonight? What's the pressing topics of the evening? Does anybody want to talk about eclipses? No one? Not a single person? Did anybody see the eclipse? I don't even know if the eclipse was like important outside of the US. Like, I know that like people who wanted to see it specifically might have traveled to the US to see it, but like it was all over the news everywhere here, and then not necessarily, you know, does everybody pay attention to the news on this on our side? Maybe not so much. I just don't know. Clues, people, help me out. Everybody's too quiet tonight. Let's talk. What's something I can talk about, Lauren? What's everybody watching on TV? I feel like we ask that question all the time. Okay, what's Okay, well, I mean, people can talk about that. I don't have a problem with people. Okay, what's everybody watching on TV? What's the shows we got going? We're watching Three Body Problem. That's very confusing, and I don't understand it yet. That's very weird at times. Mild Doodles. I've been watching you say it was cloudy and gray. No eclipse even for me. I'm sorry about that. We went up to a place in Vermont called Dog Mountain. That was Stephen, what was it, Hannock? I don't remember what his last name was. Very famous illustrator and painter of dogs. And he has this place called Dog Mountain that he made a thing called Dog Chapel. And it's a place for people who have lost a pet to come, and it's like literally a chapel, and you can go and put up little like remembrances of your dogs in. But they also had parking for viewing the eclipse, and we got a sunny day, and so we got to see it. But the drive back was horrible because we had to go through the mountains, and we had to go through a thing that's called the Franconia Notch. And if that gives you any indication, it was a small little one-lane road that a whole freeway had to, or highway had to somehow converge down on and get down to a single lane. And we were stuck in traffic for hours and hours and hours. And so I would not suggest, I would not want that for my worst enemy. Now for my favorite enemy, yeah, go for it. You have fun with I didn't use purple this round. No, I feel like that's crazy. I don't like the idea of purple in that. Should I put green in? I'm trying to figure out if I put another dog in, what color should the dogs be? I mean, purple could work, but everybody else is being so quiet. I keep saying people are being quiet, and it's like I'm judging people, and maybe I am. Maybe I'm judging you. You don't know. No one knows anymore. Let's see. I'm going to, I don't know about this color. I'm going to hit hard, though, with some ridiculously punchy colors on some of this. There's a bigger scratch. There's a bigger scratch. Dark purple could work. Let me see. Like, something like that could work. What I have right here is a fluorescent violet. I don't think the fluorescent violet would work. But I do have this prism violet that potentially could work, and then I have a medium magenta. I don't know about that one. And there's one other one I have here that's like a brilliant purple. I think dark purple could work. We'll go with this. What's this one? Wait, is that the same thing? Oh, and I have a dioxazine purple, which is more on that blue side. What do we think? What do we think? Lauren, what do you think? Do you think a prism violet or a dioxazine purple? Can you see the color difference there? Yeah. I feel like what's funny is like the swatch of paint on this one feels too bright compared. Like if it was just based on what I'm seeing through the plastic, I would go with the dioxazine, but I feel like the prism violet is probably a better option. I'm gonna go prism. Prism violet. Yeah, that's a better option. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put. It's very, very bright right now, but I'm gonna darken it up. So it's more of this like a little bit on the grayer side of the purple there. I know someone, and for anybody that's still with us, here. There's someone at one point asked what kind of paper I was using. This is just tracing paper. There's nothing really all that special about it. It's literally just, it's transparent. It could be tissue paper, but I also feel like tissue paper is has its own challenges in the sense of how thin it is and potentially bleeding through and some other factors that go with it. And so I tend to lean on the tracing paper, but that's all this is some ding dong trace paper. And then I'm using acrylic gouache, primarily a little bit of just plain old acrylic, but lots of acrylic gouache, and building up these sort of textural pieces to pull and cut into the colors that I need. So let me get a little too purple over here. I like the idea of it being like a little bit more of a plum color. Getting a little bit darker in some of this, and so there we go. And what I might do is actually come back in and put some of these other like little hints of some of these other colors into the mix here, so it's, you know, it's got a little bit of that sort of orangey red at moments. And this is just so I can cut out some letters later, but it gives you an idea of sort of the process to get some of these colors that I like. So that works there. I have glue down on the surface, and so it's sticking a little bit. Mad dogs. So folks, here we go. We're going to ask some questions. Besides Eclipse, besides stuff, what kind of art questions do we have? Does anybody have any question out there that's like, I'm really wondering about how to get an agent. I'm wondering about how to break into an industry. I'm wondering about any of that kind of stuff. I'm more than happy to answer and relay what I know, which sometimes is a lot and sometimes is a little, depending on the evening. If there's anybody that is questioning about sort of, sorry, I'm looking for the right scrap here, but I'll use this one. My wife asked, anyone ever watch Portrait Artist of the Year on Prime from England? I don't know why I'm saying it that way, but from England. We watched it. It was good. My dog watched it. You can hear it in the background. Whoa, 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 whoa. Noodle. I'm not sure why my dog is so upset right now, but you can hear it. She's what? I didn't hear what you said. That ghost. Our dog does bark at ghosts. She's a real scaredy dog on that sense. In that sense. Okay, let's see. I think there's some colors for me to work with to get these barks out. I just need to let these dry for a second. For a hot second. All right, let me get some crazy eyebrows on some of these dogs. So no one has any questions. Everybody's just like, the world's perfect, and 'cause I'll talk about anything. I don't care. You want me to talk about, what's a good subject for me to talk about? Wizards. What are my feelings on wizards? I think wizards are kind of cool. I don't think wizards are they're cool in the sense of like magic's kind of cool, but if I had to choose, like I like wizards. I like the idea of wizards. I don't like the idea of like the sorcerer's apprentice, like wearing a magical hat wizards. I like the like dark brooding wizards. I want to be a teenage girl going like, ooh, do you watch that movie about that wizard? He's so mysterious and dark. That's the kind of wizard that I dig. So I don't know what that meant at all, but hopefully you did. Did I play D&D yet? No, I did not. That's on May 7th, if I remember correctly. May 7th. Should I put these guys in shirts? I feel like they should be in shirts. It's funnier to me if they're wearing shirts and no pants. No pants. Trying to get some just like punchy colors in these guys. Muscle tees. Oh wait, what's a Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I was like, what do you mean by muscle tees? But I got you now. That makes sense. The idea of they're a little rough and tough. I realized I did draw Noodle's eyebrows in the wrong way because Noodle is kind of the aggressor in some of this. She doesn't want to admit it, but she kind of is. This will be, I should have them like snapping like they're the Jets and the Sharks. '80s what? Mesh tank tops. Like they're from the Warriors. Warriors. Okay, let's figure out how am I going to do these shirts now. Should I do little white shirts on them? But is that bright enough against the background? Should they be in dark shirts? Should they be in colored shirts? All of this is fair game. What? Let's see what happens if I do a little purple shirt on Noodle here. I gotta go and put a little purple shirt. Let's cut this down. That. Get that fit up there. Now what I'll do is I'll stripe it, because striping is always fun. Come out and play. There you go, nice. Play yay. Maybe I'll do white stripes on it. Oh, no, because that'll show up Nice. Let me get some paint to flow in. Could also put little like backwards baseball hats on them so they feel like they're kind of hip and cool. Gotta let this dry before I can stick this down. Little. It just says dog fight. Actually, I don't want to. I don't want to make light of dog fights. It's probably not the best idea in the world. Like a thing that just says dog fights. Dog fights. What I need to do is I need to make a little sliver here that can go down where this ear is, right there. Maybe a tiny little bit that sticks out the other side. Over there. Okay. We're getting there. We are getting there. And then Mayo needs a shirt too. But we will get that in a second. Let me trim that guy right there. Okay. Let me do this sleevey sleeve. Sleevey sleeve. Sleevey, 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 sleeve, sleevey, sleeve. Okay. Hold on, we're drying this off, baby. Get in there. Okay, let's see. Probably do this. And where's my glue stick? There it is. Get ready to glue this sucker down. I can touch it up after the fact, but I can get at least. Okay. Let's get this guy stuck down. I will add shadows and stuff so it's more noticeable. I know this is kind of light, but I will get it to work. Do artists get to choose their Domestika studio set design? Quickly take a picture. Not necessarily. At least in my case, it was sort of pre-planned. So by the time, I mean, in a way, yes. In a way, no. And so let me explain, because that doesn't really help you when I say that. What they do is they ask you for a sort of style guide, sort of like a Pinterest board of things that you are into. And so, like in my case, I mentioned that I was like into antiques and sort of like certain colors and textures and things of the sort. And then what they do is they try to make something that fits okay with it, but it's never going to be an exact match. It's never going to be perfect for what you're looking for. It's not like you say like, yes, let's use this sofa, let's use this this wallpaper and whatnot, because they have to prep stuff all the time. So the equivalent of when I did mine, I showed up and they had already sort of flagged things they wanted to use on the set, and had to build the set before I even got there. And so some of that was, they had to make that call without me. But I did get to give them the sort of, again, the wish list of sorts. So like old tapes and things. And they tried, again, they tried to do their best to make it work. And I think they did a fairly good job in my case. Like, it felt appropriate, especially at the time when I was filming. There was another studio there, another person filming next door, and I got to see their set, and their set was, in my opinion, sort of, what do I say, simple and like clean. And I am not the type of person that needs to have this like super modern, like minimalist sort of setup. And so when I saw that they had, they had made something that really sort of fit me, and I was very pleased with sort of what they had. But of course, it also depends on like what they have in their prop room. But they do try to, like in my case, they actually made some things to fit the space. So like they made this little box on the wall that housed a bunch of antiques. And so they got some old pallets and literally like made the thing. And so it wasn't just like they only could work with stuff they found. And so that was kind of cool to sort of see the production value. And it was just these two ladies, I forget what their names were, but they did an amazing job of sort of hunting down and getting the work to be, or to feel like it was, feel like the rest of my work, let's put it that way. And they did do like prints and stuff on the wall. They hung up some work that was sort of akin to the rest of the aesthetic, but also pulled from my work, so that it like truly was like my work was up on the wall. So they essentially made their own wallpaper and things of the sort, and that was pretty cool. So I'm just waiting for those to dry, and then I'll do a little shirt on mayo, and then I'll put some barks, and I'll put a couple other things like little fence and stuff behind them to add to this. But I just gotta wait for these to dry a little bit more so I don't smear them. Let's see. That guy is probably pretty close. Let's see how much. Yeah, over there. Okay. It's a good question. Are you doing quickly take a picture? Do you want to do a Domestika course? Like create one? Because they do, if they haven't already reached out to you, you can always reach out to them. They do take submissions. I just realized I got to do something for them this month, actually, coming up. I don't know if I'm going to create a little video thing for them that I said I would do. So I may do that maybe this coming week, to make sure that I live up to my end of the bargain. Actually, it's just extra stuff on top. It has nothing to do with like the contract that I signed with them. Yeah, they don't. I don't think they ever do a white wall. So quickly take a picture. Says nice. I've never seen a white wall before. Yeah, in my case, it was. I think I put down like mustard yellow and some other colors that I liked, and they had a section of the wall was that. Another section was sort of again inspired by my work. Another section had some like found objects and things up to sort of go to the sort of old-timey things that I like old scrap wood and stuff like that. And so again, they did a fairly good job, and I was pretty pleased. I didn't know what to expect. They did have a rug out. That's funny. It's they're like, we've never had a chance to use this rug, and now we have it, and so we're going to use it. And I was like, okay, cool. And then what's funny is like it sounded like we've never wanted to use this rug because it didn't fit, or it sounded like that of sorts to me, the way they sort of phrased it. But then in the end, it also, I've seen that rug in other situations, like where I work, there was a office that had it in it. I was like, oh, that's that same rug. And it just happens to be like it's a selection of colors that I think didn't work for everybody, but somehow did work for me. And I agree, it did work with the set. Like it made perfect sense. And so more power to them to use that. So I'm gonna give this guy some dark blue. Mayo's gonna have a funny little shirt, I think. Like a little, itty bitty shirt here. Let's see if I can get this to cut the right way here. I need this to go. Let's hope I can get that cut right. I want it to be down about there. That'll work. Let me glue this guy down, and then I'll glue the sleeves. Quickly take a picture. Did you take the course with me, or my course? I'm assuming that's what you're saying with all the like accessories and stuff. It was pretty fun. And then there's even the trailer has like, I got to help make some little like silly props for that. They're all done like spur of the moment, and were sort of goofy. It was me and one of the production folks sitting around going like, what would be fun to do? And we came up with a couple of ideas and then just did it. There was no, so like, I don't know if you remember the trailer, there's a point where like a shoe hits me in the head. And we were talking about the idea of like, how do we show some of these terms? Like, you need to follow these steps and things of that sort. And I just said, what if I made a little shoe? And he goes, yes. And then I made it. And I think he said like, what if it hit you in the head? And I was like, yep, let's do it. And so we spent a day basically. For anybody that doesn't know, the setup is you essentially work for the first like 3 days, sometimes 4, doing the course. And so you go through section by section, and you sort of block out. I think you start, I'm trying to remember what you started with. I want to say you started with the actual course, but I feel like it wasn't just like you start into like the first part of the course. You started with something specific, and then I know what it was. It was like the intro. So like the intro section, you start with like you talking to the camera kind of thing, and then we had to go through and break down all of the supplies and whatnot, and then we got into the actual course structure that was already sort of predefined in the before I even got to location. And then after that was done, we jumped into the trailer. You do the trailer last. And so the trailer was us sort of playing off of what already happened. And so we spent a long time figuring out like, okay, well, if we did this, this little moment, it'd be cool to sort of like the equivalent of like me mixing paints. There was I don't think they ever used it, but we had this cool shot that we set up where it was me with a jug of water, and it was a close up on it. So you just see my hand, but I dip the paintbrush into it, and all the paint sort of like does these cool effects as it hits the water. And they never ended up using it, I don't think, but it was really super cool looking in slow-mo. It sort of looked mystical and whatnot. And so we did all these things playing like that. And then, of course, they edit it together later. And so I get to see sort of the end result at a certain point. But I didn't know exactly where they were going to go with it through a majority of it until much later in the process. Like I didn't get to sit there and like go, let's take this out and let's put this in for the trailer. It was a lot of just like give them some stuff to play with, and they put it together in a fun way, and I think they did a good job. So I can't really complain. I mean, I can always complain about something. I think what they did was dumb. No, I think they did a good job. So it was a whole different team too that put it together. So like the team that recorded the stuff is not the team that edits the work, and so it's sort of interesting in that sense of like they're in different areas of the world, and they have to, they have a formula that works for them. So it's not necessarily that they're always like, what do I want to say? They're not always conversing with each other. So they have to make sure that it is functional from one location to the next, as far as like what they film versus what they can edit together. And so there is a lot of sort of making sure that they over cover what they need to as far as visuals, and then eventually gets back together, and boom, boom, boom. You have a lovely little trailer, and you have a lovely little class. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope people enjoyed the class. That way, I hope you enjoyed the class. Let's see, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and I had a bunch of fun letters. B. A. Let's get an R from up here. So what other questions do people have? How can I help? R. Okay. Let's see. Thorax duties. Are you required to interact with the domestic students as time goes on? Yeah, there's a range in which you're supposed to interact. I need to hop back on there. It's been a hot minute before I've been on there. So I know people have done the class since, and I have not conversed with them. But I know for at least the first couple months, you're supposed to be like actively engaged and sort of conversing with them. Does that mean that you need to, every day check in? No, but sort of at least every couple of days check in. And so I spent a good chunk of time at the beginning sort of answering everybody's comments. And the challenge now is just finding the time to go back in, because I get this big list, and then because the back end of their site for the teachers has some other like variables, but I'll get all of a sudden a thing that says, you have a comment from blah, blah, blah. And I just need to go through and figure out how to, or what to say on all of them, because it does get repetitive on some of the questions that I asked, which is partially my own fault of just, like, who are your influences? And it's like, which is wonderful to hear people's influences, don't get me wrong in that sense, but it also is just how many times can I go, cool, I like that person. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to make it more engaging when I answer back. That's the hard part for it all. Let's see. When you're working on a book, oh wait, no, okay, Alicia Nash. It's a great class, one of the best inspiration sections ever. Thank you. When you're working on a book, what software or programs are used to get feedback? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, if you're not the sorry, of course. So most of the work that I get, the way that I get feedback is primarily through PDFs. It's not anything fancy. I'm trying to think if there's like, most of the time what they do is they take a PDF and there's a thing where you can add sticky notes to it. And so one of the companies I worked with, that's their big go-to, is they just make little yellow sticky notes on the PDF. And the challenge is, like, if I'm on my phone, I can't open it up and see what those sticky notes say. And so I have to go home and make sure I open up like Adobe Reader or something of the sort and see it. Other ones that I've worked on, especially in the early sketch stage, what they'll do, one of the companies I get literally makes a PDF of, it's just a little image of the spread and then some basic notes on the side next to it, and then a little image of a spread and some basic notes. And so it's less of like, at this spot you must change this color and things of the sort. But early on, they're just trying to get their bases covered on like making sure that the story makes sense and whatnot. As we get further into the project, that's where those little yellow sticky notes come out. So as long as you have Adobe Acrobat, pretty much that's all how I get my notes. I don't think there's any special software. When it comes to writing, even that, when I wrote books, it was primarily just done through, Word, or in my case, I use Google Docs. And that was enough. Didn't have to be a ton outside of that. So I don't know if you need to go out of your way to get a huge or to buy some fancy software in order for that to work. Alicia Nash, some self-pub clients are tech savvy. Yeah, I mean, the advantage of something like Google Docs or the advantage of a Word document or a PDF is just everybody can see it. You don't have to have anything special. But I also think that the thing that I like about Google Docs is if someone wants to make a change, I can actually be in the document with them at the same time and sort of look and see what is working and sort of say like, oh, you can move this around here, etc. But I also, most of the time I don't, I'm not working on it at the same time as those folks. It's literally more of I get an email and I just check it and there it is. One of the things that I would suggest is if someone's trying to use some tech savvy thing is if it is literally getting in the way of production and you're if you are having to deal with some software and having to opt into something that is getting in the way of you actually making good work, then I would just say this isn't working for me and tell them to sort of go back to basics. There's nothing wrong with basics. I also think just Google Drive, it's really handy. Like whenever I send client work from finished work, rather than trying to put a bunch of stuff into into a email or whatnot, or even using something like Dropbox or whatnot. I just have my Google Drive and I just upload it to Google Drive and give them access to the folder. And so anytime that I have to update files or change anything around, I can just say, I've updated in the folder and they can go get it. And I don't have to constantly be sending them artwork via email. And that took me a while to figure that out because I was always worried, like, if they don't have Google, what happens? Does that work okay? But then I found out that, like, no, it's absolutely fine. It just means that they might get a link and it's through a browser if they're not using Google, but there's no reason why they can't get access and download the work after the fact. So to me, that's the way to do it. And that way you don't have to buy a Drive account, especially if you have a Gmail account already. There's no need to go out there and get something special. I mean, I use it for school all the time, but I will admit, they only give you so much space on Google at the beginning when you set up an account. And so I pay a little extra. I think I pay like $2 a month to get a huge amount of space on Google Drive. And so I don't have to worry about sort of filling up that space too quickly. But some people don't want to go to that length. Yeah, Dropbox. Also, I heard at one point with Dropbox that there's a risk of that they own the work or something. There was something about, or no, it was AI stuff. That's what it was. It was that there was something you have to click to make sure that AI doesn't have access to your work, that they're not uploading stuff to some sort of data set. And so I remember that there was some big hoopla. I don't even know what that means, hoopla, that came out about that at some point. And so I was very happy to just say, yeah, I'm good. I got my Google Drive. And Google has its own problems. Maybe Google has the same problem. I don't know. But I like that. And I also like Weed Transfer. That's the other good one. So I don't know. Those are Mark's hot takes. What are the questions we got? We have I like the technical questions, like how do you manage this thing? That's kind of fun. As you can tell, I'm cutting out a bunch of barks. So if people have technical questions, like I always get questions about sort of how I scan work since I'm working traditionally. I give that info, whatever floats your boat at this point. I'm more than happy to help. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this thing so it just looks like bark, bark, bark. So I got to get these lined up in a way where they make sense. And then I'm just going to fill it at the bottom with bark, 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 bark. And then I'm going to do some yelling at the top. So it's really about type in a way, which I don't do very often. So that'll be fun. It's a pain to stick them down. That's the only downside. I feel like it's very quiet right now. Especially because there's no noise coming from upstairs, which has me scared. Why is there no noise from upstairs? Is my wife watching? Maybe she went to a different room. Maybe she got tired and she turned it off eventually. Why is it so quiet up there? Are you falling asleep? I said, are you falling asleep? Oh, okay. Just feels very quiet. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what I did that was so wrong. It's gotten quiet up there. Yeah, where's the dogs? Why are they not barking for us right now? This is a fake piece. It's not real. They don't bark. Let's see. Just gotta make sure that doesn't line up in that one spot there. Okay. Bark, bark, bark. Bark, bark, bark. I don't want it to hit crotch too hard there. I don't want it to hit the crotch too hard. I don't want it to hit the crotch too hard. I don't want it to hit the crotch too hard. Crickety, crickety, crotch. Is that too crazy? Does that look like? Yeah, I guess that's fine. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do over here. I'm going to jump to these. So they're big in the back and smaller up front. I think is how this is going to go. I'll probably have to do another round of cuts here to build this up to the point that I want. That's too close there. Let's twist it that way. So what kind of questions we got, folks? You're leaving me hanging. I have so much info in my head. And you don't even want it. Let's see, I need the A. Hello, everybody that's joining us. I saw some people just join. Welcome. Welcome to a late night version of me making something. I kind of wish I had Mayo's leg sticking up a different direction, so sort of up in the air. It'd be funnier, I think, if it wasn't if she wasn't standing. But she's like doing the splits in the air. Would be kind of funny. The question is that stuck down so hard that I can't peel it up now? Because if I could, that'd be kind of awesome if she's full on. Let me see if I can do that. Let me get these letters out of the way. Can I do that? Can I lift this? It was stuck down so long ago that I'm sure it's dry. Let's see. Awesome things. Typing out. 1 second. Okay. All of these self-published questions. What are some things that stick out from all of your sketch and doodles, from all of my Gavin doodles? What do you mean by stick out? I need more info on that. I don't know if that gives me enough info to be able to go on. So far, it will eventually. I get it, but so far, that's not enough for me to go on. If we're talking about sort of are there things that like, I'm trying to think of like, if I can answer that question without knowing exactly what I'm answering. That's the challenge. Like what? Oh, from learning from my guests. Okay, that's a good question. That's a super solid question because it really sort of puts a focus on why I do this. I mean, the thing that I'm learning about through all of this has nothing to do. Hey, Jeremy. Is probably less about the art side and sort of like industry stuff, because some of that is like, well, I play in that same ballpark, so I'm not. That's not all news to me, and I understand that like for some people out there that is news, and I want to make sure that they get that information. So I cover some stuff that's like sort of I already know the answer to. Let's put it that way. But what I learn out of it is the similarities between so many people in this industry, that sort of the stories that are told, the aspect that you know, like the equivalent of like how people find their agents, or the struggles that people have are pretty consistent across the board, and I assume they're consistent in other areas of illustration as well, in the sense of like, I think everybody has some sort of imposter syndrome issues, and everybody has some concerns with like how they see their style or how they fit into the larger context of illustration and whatnot. And those are I think pretty standard across the board. And so that's interesting to see how much stuff is relatable from person to person. But a lot of what I'm learning is just about them as people in general, because I don't know most of these people ahead of time. Every once in a while I have on someone that I've already met. But for a majority of this is some rando off the street no, people that we like, but I've just never had a conversation with until like tonight. You know, we had on Kaly Quarles, who we follow and whatnot, but I've never actually sat down and had a conversation with Kaley until this evening. And so I get to learn stuff about sort of life things that I might not naturally get to find out on online sources. You know what I mean? Like that, you're not going to learn certain things like what the fact that Kaley lives down the road from Leo Espinosa. You know, like you don't learn those things by looking on Google. And so there is a real sense of like getting to know people and less about getting to know their work, I guess, is a good way to sort of lump that together, or to have that make any sense. Let's see. What was it? I feel like there was a follow-up that came there. Let's see. Okay. Here's a good question. This is Elisa Nash. What are some ways that you break down the manuscript to make sure it is good story, so that you prevent it needing changed at the end? Is this an intake issue on my part? Now, when you say breaking down a story, are you talking about breaking down someone else's story? Or are you talking about breaking down your own story? Because breaking down your own story, that's a whole nother ballgame. But if it's taking someone else's story, some of this can be sort of formulaic, and some of this, sometimes you want to break the formula. And what I mean by that is, like, you already know where certain spreads are going to land. Like 1617 is going to be your center point on a 32-page book, right? And so you know that that's a page that you don't want to just do a really boring thing, because that literally is where the book is going to open up the easiest. The spread itself naturally wants to open in a book to that page, and so having something that's got some big power there always works really well. As far as is this the scrap? I think this is the scrap I was going to use. As far as the one of the challenges I think people have when they start out is trying to figure out sort of when to make the impact of a page turn sort of happen, and that is a delicate balancing act in the sense that you can't have everything be a surprise, and you can't always rely on the fact that you uh, you know, not everything can be on a left-hand page, so you turn it and then all of a sudden, pow, you get hit with a fun little surprise moment. And so you have to be very cognizant that like you can only have a certain amount of those happen throughout the book. And also having a big impactful moment on a page turn is only impactful if it doesn't happen all the time. I'm a big advocate of the idea of you gotta do it in context, and it has to be in contrast with something else. So if you want something to be a quiet moment, you have to have lots of pages around it that are really complex. And then that quiet moment will seem even more quiet because everything around it is really vibrant and powerful. If you want to have something that is relatively, let's say, exciting, well, then you better make some of those pages that run around that maybe a little bit quieter up until that moment. So it does feel like when you turn that page or when you see that page that all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's a really sort of exciting or punchy moment, or what, whatever, however you want to describe that. And so I think that's sort of a thing that I think takes some time and some patience to learn, of when to and how to balance that as you go along. So what I do when I get a manuscript, sometimes it's already broken down. This needs to be on this page, this needs to be on that page, etc. But I also, I go through and I think about sort of those page flips. And if I had to boil down, like, what are those moments that need to happen in that sort of powerful way? And once I figure those out, then I start to figure out, okay, now I can take those moments in between and either make them just a normal page, or if it's a lot of info in between, does that need to become a vignette? If it's something that is a lot of action, is it better served by a single page, or is it better served by a bunch of vignettes that are actually sort of sequential in some way? But I think it really boils down to like figuring out that page flip right off the bat. And if you can figure that out, the rest of it starts to, like, I want to say, become a little bit easier in putting it together. But I also think that just time and practice also makes that pagination side of things more manageable. So when you read a manuscript, you immediately go, okay, that's the page that needs to be big and powerful. And then once you figure that out, it's easy to, like, you've already done some of the hard work. And the more you can figure that out before you actually start drawing, the easier it is. Let's see. Jeremy, I have not figured out the commencement speech. I got to do that. As far as other, I'm trying to think of like other things that are challenging in the sense of breaking down a manuscript. I mean, some of it is like the other thing that I would suggest. And so if you're working on someone else's manuscript, now if it's self-publishing, that's a different story because the person may not know. But if you're working in the sort of traditional publishing world, you can always ask for what's called a galley. And the galley is essentially they lay out the text on the pages they think it should go on. Now, you need to double check with them and say, hey, is this set in stone, or can I move stuff around if need be? And if they give you that flexibility, there's no reason why you can't start to, push stuff around and say, it would be cool if I could move this to this page because the next big reveal is, A, B, or C. I tend to work with publishers that do a lot of, or allow a lot of that sort of flexibility, which is wonderful. But it also means that I got to do a lot of design work in the process. And so if you are not someone who is design savvy, I do think it's worth brushing up or honing your skills potentially in that design world, of taking some classes on how to play with type or how to design a page, and then applying that to sort of how it works sequentially or how it works in a paginated format. So it's not just like what's good type. That's not the challenge. The challenge becomes much more of a, like, okay, if you have to put this big chunk of type in this corner, how do you make a interesting composition? And I'm also this type of person who likes to, and I tell my students this, that you can't just illustrate in the void. All right, see you later, Jeremy. That you can't just illustrate and go, well, someone will figure out how to design this later. That you need to consider the type and where it's going to go and sort of scale and all those things. And that does require some sense of, or some design sense. Does that mean that you need to lay it out perfectly? No, but the reason why I say that you need to have some of that is, in my opinion, now bear with me, this is my opinion, I think one of the worst things that you can do as a illustrator is to not leave room for the type to sit anywhere, and then when they go to design that book, they have to ghost your type, and meaning that they have to put like a transparency of white on top of your image so that they can fit the type in so it looks okay. That I am a huge believer in the fact that if they have to somehow manipulate your artwork afterwards to fit the type in, that is a problem. And so you should be, as an artist, be able to consider like where that type fits, how it's going to affect the overall flow of the manuscript, and make sure that you understand sort of the ramifications of if you're going to put type in a certain location, that it might change the way that a person reads the page. It might change the way that the story evolves. And so I just don't like the idea that you require, or that your lack of planning has somehow forced a designer to have to literally cover up some of the image just to make it legible. And so I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm getting grumpy there. So basically, plan ahead. Don't force them to make decisions. Make some decisions that you think will be beneficial for all parties involved. My hands are so sticky right now from all this glue. I hope that was pretty convoluted, but bear with it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Everybody can be a good artist. Everybody can learn design. Everybody can learn all these things. Am I a good designer? I don't think I'm a good designer. Am I the best typesetter? No, I don't think I am of any sort. But I do think that the fact that I've been through some of that process helps me understand what the designer has to go through in the end and makes it easier on everybody. I overstand. I like overstand instead of understand. It's funny. Why do I have a K? Oh, because the K came from the other. Okay, so let me I'm gonna do this bark here. I mean, I think in general, like all of those things that your book has to go through, the more that you can be prepared for it and have stuff like an understanding of, the marketing side and how they're going to have to deal with that, and an understanding of the production on, like how they're going to color correct and how they're going to do some of those things that are potentially behind the scenes and not really your job. The more you can know and the more you can make it easier on them, the happier a customer they are going to be. Let's put it that way. They say that, not they, I don't know who they are, but there are quite a few folks I know that go by this rule of you have to be good at three things in some capacity. You have to have at least two of them solid. And if you have all three, it's great. First one is to make really good work. Pretty straightforward. If you don't make good work, then people aren't going to want to work with you, right? You have to be on time. So you need to deliver stuff on deadline, etc. And then the third one is you got to be a pleasure to work with. And I think it's the pleasure to work with one that really is the kicker here, in the sense of you need to make their job and their life easy and not be a pain in the butt to work with. And so that's where that comes in, of like, again, designers are going to like you, editors are going to like you if you are doing the right thing at the right time and making their day go faster. But you don't have to. There's no reason why you have to do that stuff to survive in this business of any sort, but it does add to the equation. I'm going to do a couple of these here. I'm going to put some hats on them, and then we're probably a couple of little odds and ends, but we're getting down to the final legs of some of the stickies. Any other questions that I can help? I do not like how that one lined up. Let's see if I can twist it at all. There we go. It's a matter of just a tangent there that happened. Okay, let's get this R in there. So again, for those that are joining, any questions you want to ask, just throw them in the comments. We'll try to answer in a meaningful manner. I don't know if I need this K in there. I guess I could. Then I need to de-stick my hands. They are sticky. Get rid of some of this excess at the bottom here. Okay, let's see. Alicia Nash says, any advice for approaching publishers and art directors for work or illustration agents? I mean, there's not a steadfast rule on like what you need to do. I think the big thing is you need to get in front of people in a way where they okay, a couple of things. One thing is, don't just go to them and say like, look at my work. You need to create a relationship first, and then you can start to say, hey, I have some work, would you look at it? But for the most part, I would rely on them asking you versus you showing them. So wait until they go, hey, you have some work that you have with you, and then you of course pull out that work and you go, yes, I do. I have something here. I think what I've been told in many situations is just that you don't want to be overly pushy. And so coming out and just immediately going, I have something for you to look at, can be can look off-putting. But if you can create a network and talk to people first, and then come back to it and say, I have some stuff, or I came to this conference or whatever it may be, and I'm hoping to land an agent and whatnot. If that comes up naturally in a conversation and they go, oh, let me see your stuff, then great. That's the time to sort of converse with them on a different level. But I would in no way be pushy with them. I just think that's a bad move in general. As far as ways to get your work out there, I mean, use all the resources that come from stuff like Instagram and whatnot, as far as like special hashtags and things of that sort. I think there are some that are going to hit harder than others. As far as like, you know, the Kidlit Art Postcard Day is a good one that I know that art directors take a look at. And so I would try to take advantage of something like that. I'm trying to think if there's other like, I mean, there's just be mindful of what hashtags you use. Let's put it that way. And then I will answer. I see there's a question from, I can't even, Mr. and Mrs. Stratford, it looks like. What kind of mediums do I use for this collage illustration? I'll tell you that real quick. It's tracing paper with acrylic gouache on it, and it's a colored pencil. And I stick it all down with Elmer's glue, and then I make it look fancy. I don't know if that's a real technical term there. I make it look fancy. That's primarily the mediums that are involved. Let's put it that way. What was I talking about? So the other thing too is, in order to build those relationships, you just got to get in front of people. And so you cannot live in a basement and say, people come find me. You're going to have to make that leap of faith and get out in front of people. And so get to events, schmooze, be friendly. And I know that's sometimes a hard statement for artists in general, because we tend to be introverts just in our daily practice. And so I would, as much as possible, push yourself out of that comfort into a situation where you can be sociable. Let's put it that way. I was not a very, and in fact, I'm still not like super outgoing in certain situations. When I'm at school and I'm teaching and whatnot, I'm absolutely have no problem being an idiot in front of people and saying my piece. When I am at a public event that I'm doing, have no problem there really. Where I struggle is going up to a stranger to try to talk about myself without some sort of structure around it. Like if I'm just at a convention or things like that, it's very hard to go up and just say hi to people, because I always feel like I don't want to brag. I don't want to come across as someone who like is a know-it-all kind of situation. I don't want to mansplain, but it does take some effort on my part to sort of be what do I want to say, like to build up the courage to go up to someone and just say, hey, I'm Mark. Even it's funny, I had someone at a convention one time come up to me and say like, oh, are you Mark? Are you the one that does this stuff? Are you Studio Hoffman, etc.? And I'm like, yep. And I could see they were nervous, and oddly enough, it weirdly made me nervous, because I felt like I had to perform for this person. Like I had to somehow be, like I had to put on a show. And it was nice to, eventually it got to a point where I didn't have to, or I realized I didn't have to perform in a way for this person. And then it became just like two people talking, and that was wonderful. But that can be a bit of a challenge too, in the sense of you don't want to make someone else feel pressured in the process. So I don't know, that was a long-winded answer. I'm good at that. I can do a long-winded answer for anybody. See if I can get this up here. That's just a little piece. Is a little too much for me right there. I can peel that. Good. Got it. Okay. Should I give these guys hats is the question. Let's see. Should I give a little backwards baseball cap situation here? It's probably cooler if I do it small. And then let's see. Look. I like that. I like that little hat. Let's see. Hat equals fight mode. Backwards hat in particular. They look rough. Thank you for answering. I appreciate it. I'm a very awkward artist myself. Mom is drawn. You're not that awkward. You want to see awkward? Get me. Yeah. It's gonna be off from that. It's gonna be like here, or I can put it back further. Should be back further. I think it needs to be. Yeah, I'm gonna put it forward. Let's see. What was, love the text spilling out. My eyes can hear it. Yeah, it's my ears can hear it in this household. My wife had to put up with lots of dog fights today. Our dogs have they have been not so kind to each other recently. They're teenagers. They'll get past it, Lauren. Nope, they will. They'll get past it. Don't you worry, they will. I'll make sure of it. I will tell them what for. I'll come up there and crack some skulls. I know that's probably not the most appropriate thing to say, but what I said. What? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna give Mayo, for the Mayo dog, a little I'm sorry they're not the colors of our dogs, Lauren. I know. I let you down. But I needed something that had some fun colors. And white with and tan are not the most lively of colors. So there we go. We'll put that little hat on. Miss Mayo. My hands are sticky. Okay, if I can get this on, then I think we're down to the point where I'm actually just doing finishing touches to this piece, which will be fun because that's fun. What other questions can I answer, folks? Help me help you. No one has any questions for me. No one cares to engage. I'm just kidding. It's okay if you don't have questions. But don't feel embarrassed. No question is too dumb. The only thing that's too dumb around here is this guy. I pointed at myself. And you know how you can tell it was dumb? Is because I pointed at myself knowing that, or not knowing that you couldn't see that. That's how you know it was a dumb move on my part. There we go, a little ringer tee. Where are we time-wise? 11:31. Okay, we're gonna be good. The only question is, should I put another like B up here? I don't want to cover up Mayo's foot, but also feel like it needs a little something up there. Let's see what happens if I, even if it's just a little bit of a letter. It's just like the start of a letter up here, just hidden behind that. And it could probably work. It's a question of, can I get that one up? Let's see. How stuck down is it? Please tell me. Oh, I can get it. I can get it. I can get it. Beautiful. I got it. That's what I needed to see, baby. It's too big, though. Let's trim that down. It's a little bit of a smaller B. B. There we go. I'll stick that back down with a little bit more glue. Yeah. Lace and ash. Thank you. That stuck down there. There we go. Are these what are called street toughs, Lauren? Street toughs. Street toughs. I almost did the. Let me get some of this scrap cleaned up before I start to do finishing touches on this stuff. Okay. Let's get in here. Let's get some of these colors going. Let's see. I want there's a shadow there. Shadow there. Got shadow there like that. Bring that in there. Let's get some what's the color I'm looking for here? Let's do this one. Let's see, a little challenge. Right up. Go. some spots on these ears because that doggy has some spots on her ears. Is this one of those? Yeah, this is a junk pencil. I hate this pencil. Let's try a different one. What is this? This is what oh yes. Grease Flood. Cool gray. It's gonna go on top of the color pencils. Bought some cheapy craft store ones that are by definition cheap. So that way. I'm going to put a little bit of gray into on top of that schnoz. Just to make it so it's not so perfectly pure black. I'll come back in here. Darken up some of that. Question, should I might have a little scrap that I could use. Let's see. Should I make a ton for mayo? Should I have a little rah, rah, or is it funnier to have just solid black there? Also, what happens if I go like this? That works. Just a little line there. Let's see. If I came back in and did this right here, I got this. We'll see how it looks in a second. Just getting some dry brush of this fluorescent pink right there. And like, I put that in there as a little tongue to show that she's really going. Rawr. Is that too crazy? I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. Yeah, that's too. I feel like that's too weird. That's too cartoony. Okay, so here's other things I gotta do though. I do want to take some of this hot pink and come back down in here into this bottom section. Because I've only put down some of these colors at sort of base level. Come back and sort of what I'm doing here is just putting a wash of that sort of hot pink back on top. Same thing as I can get a little bit on this leg right there. Let's see. There. Maybe go here. Get a little up in this. Ooh, that's too much. It'll calm itself down. Miss Sophia, I see you have a comment or a question, but give me 1 second. I'll take a look. I just need to get some of this color down in here. The spots that I see. For the viewers, Mayo sounds like Dino from the Flintstones, and Doodle sounds like Curly from the Three Stooges. Both old references, so they probably don't help. That is true. They really do sound like both of those. I feel like the one that's the most accurate is the Noodle. Like, it really does sound like Dino, however you want to say it. Sort of shockingly so. Shockingly so. So shocking. Put a little bit of purple into this. Right here, a little bit maybe here, a little touch of sort of a purpley color over there. Just so it feels like it's in line with some of the other things. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put probably like a chain link fence behind them. Again, for anybody that doesn't know, this is in reference to my dogs who tend to fight as of recently. And so there's lots of barking, and they just started daycare, and so I don't know if they fight at daycare, but that may be what this piece becomes. I see some stuff that's just coming up glue-wise, and so I'm going to make sure take those down, and I'm going to do some other little details down in some of this type down here, but I might keep it relatively simple. There's a question of like, do I want to come back in? And this is what I was going to do if I did something, was to take something like this dark pencil and do lines in here like this. The question of, is that too distracting, or is it better when it's just flat color? Lauren, are you up there? Are you listening? I have a question for you, if you're listening. There we go. I just don't know if it needs it. I mean, it doesn't have to be on all of them either. Like, I could come in and see what happens if I... So Lauren, here's the question. Do I want to do some of this like line work in these letter forms, or are they better like just big blocks? That's the question for you. I'm waiting for an answer before I make that call. I don't know if it's seeable, but I'll pull it up a little tighter so you can see. It comes down to it, but I need to know whether to put those lines in. I actually don't think it, I like it better without, so I'm going to pull it out. If you said like, yes, it needs it, then I was going to be, okay, let me do it. But I actually like it better without it. So I'm going to remove them. I feel like it adds, I kind of like the idea that they're just these like big blocks of color. And so as long as you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. Where did I see come up? I thought I saw something come up here. There's that dog. What was this Kaly? So my wife said, sounds like Dino. There's our little Dino. Okay. Oh no, Curly. Sorry, Curly. Oh, woo, 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 woo. That's her go-to. Okay, so let me see. Let's start adding in a couple other little touches in here. Okay, let's get some other shadows and stuff. And then I need to do, I think that one's going to show enough. probably too orange. Let's see. Is this one too dark? That's probably too dark too. Let's see, do I have a lighter gray that I could use? Something like this, maybe? I could probably get away with that. Again, I don't know if that really helps. Maybe I do this with white. Let's see. Trying here with this. It's pretty subtle, but maybe that's good actually. So let's see, we're getting close. We are getting close, close, close. I want, there you go. Pencil to soften. And let's see. Okay, should I have a fence behind them? Should I have, let's even if I do it with this, it's not going to show up. If I'm going to have to do a fence, I got to do it with these big old chunky monkeys. And I don't know if I want to do that. It will show up. That is the advantage. It's a question, do I want to do that? And if so, does it add anything? Am I better off? Maybe I'm better off just doing like clouds or something with it, like going like this. scumbly. Scumbly clouds. Scumbly clouds. It might be too much. What's too much, Lauren? When you say that, the fence? I think the fence is just going to confuse some of the lines. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it to these little like scumbly clouds, which you can barely see, but they're there. Yeah. And so I may just go over these just to make sure that those, that we got a nice. Whoa. My wife's trying to take credit for what I did down here, and so everybody knows. She thinks she's the boss, but, you know, she is, but. Sometimes I like to pretend that I am. So those scumbly clouds. I'm just going over them again to make sure that all the white really pops off. Pops off. Plops off. There we go. Bark, 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 bark. Okay, last thing I'm gonna do. What do you mean? What do you mean I almost reversed their colors? Like one's warm and one's cool? Gotcha. Should I have little lines coming out of their mouths or anything, like to show that they're barking, or do you think it implies it enough? I feel like it doesn't need it. Again, I think I'm going to err on the side of not putting it in just to not over clutter All right, let me just look and see if there's any other little like things I'm gonna do. I got about 5 minutes left, and then this sucker is done. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add some little textural colors down in this. This section. These are not to in any way enhance the letters in the sense of like oh yes. So everybody that's watching right now who's hanging in there, I have a YouTube channel where I post all these Gavin Doodles shortly thereafter, generally on the weekend. So this one will go up probably this weekend at some point. Not on Saturday. I tried to do them on Saturday, but I'm going to be busy Saturday. So not this Saturday, but soon. And so if you want, you can watch it on the feed here on Instagram, and it works fine. However, it can be a little hard to fast forward and speed up and all that kind of stuff. And so if it's easier on you of any sort, I do put this up on Instagram or not Instagram, but I do put this up on, why can't I think of the term? Well, I'm drawing a blank. On YouTube. There we go. So if that makes it any easier on anybody, it is available there. Just generally about a couple days after. Smash, yeah. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Click subscribe below. For anybody watching on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. For anybody not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and like and subscribe. Yeah. I'm coming out with my own energy drink. Fart juice. It'd be called Gabin. What? Gabin Belch. Burp slurp. What? Yeah. Burp and slurp. Slurp and burp. It's got to go that order. So if you can get yourselves a can of burp and slurp. No, slurp and burp. I said it backwards. Dang. Get your hand on some of that. It'll be coming out both in a canned and boxed form, like milk. You know, that's my. What? A protein bar. A Gabin gas, yeah. A crumble and mumble. It's a granola bar. A series of journals that are called Think and Stinks. Okay. Oh, you know what they need? One last little thing they need is they need little, oh, I'm going to run out of time. I was going to maybe put little paws on them. Let's see, I can do it like this. Do some little black lines. Hopefully I can get this done in time. What? Nice outro. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Kaly Quarles, thank you. Tune in next week. We have, I believe, Lydia Nichols on. Yeah, that's hello, it's Lydia. All right, I think that's it. Time's gonna run out. This thing's gonna stop. We love you all. Hugs and kisses. Bye, everybody.